Here to talk about creativity in the intersection of action and impact. And today we're going to be celebrating the incredible work of the Far South Border North artists and program. We are also going to be celebrating the kickoff of World Design Experience. So this is basically the first event of San Diego Design Week. So make some noise for that right there. We just had some coffee, donuts, some good conversations, and we also had some really cool artwork from an amazing artist named Sergio Taquito. Please make some noise for Sergio Taquito. Artists always have a very impactful, artistic way to put things, and I love the candle that Sergio was painting. And it's this representation to, when you're going through things in life, to see that light. It's so easy to just sit in the darkness of ideas, but to see that light and then to light other people's candles is so important. And I think today is going to be a reflection of, how to light other people's candles as well. I'm going to be your host for today. Thank you. My name is Ramel Wallace. I'm also a recipient of the Far South Border North grant. My project was called Black Barrio Logan. It started on Chicano Park Day, ended on Cinco de Mayo. It was beautiful, and I was glad to be a part of this experiment and the community as well. They know me as the last black man in Barrio Logan, and I'm a representation of the city as someone that's born and raised here. So now let's get into our schedule and agenda of the Public Impact Day. So we're a little bit off, but we're going to get back on time. We're getting in our opening remarks. 9:35, we're going to get into the introduction to what is the Far South Border North. And, everybody here is not a part of it. Maybe you're just coming into it, so we're going to break that down to you. Then we're going to get into some performances. Then we're going to start a couple of panels. That's going to last until 11:35. And then we're going to do our closing remarks. It's real fast right here, but it's going to be a long day. Make sure that you're checking out the bathrooms that are in the back. Just go past that glass entrance and to your left as well. And it's going to be a good day. But before I go any further, I want to take some time to get into our land acknowledgement. And so I'm going to invite to the stage Talito. Please make some noise for Talito. Talito is a border artist with a background in journalism, anthropology, and art. His work explores the transformation of the sacred through symbolic representation. With influences from Mexican prehistoric art, Latin American art Sako, and Japanese, I don't know how to pronounce that word, okay?
AKOA?
AKOA? Uh-huh. Did I say that right? Okay, yes. Thank you. Okay. You can do that here or you can do that.
Well, first of all, greetings to everyone and thank you for your presence. I stand here today to acknowledge the Kumeyaay people whose land we are on today, as well as their fellow neighbors. The Cocopa and Quechan is to the river, the Luiseño and Cahuila up north, and down south, the Pai Pai. Well, as you all know, their ancestors were the first people living on the middle of the Californias, from this coast through the mountains down to the Yuja Desert, and the further south of the border throughout what we know today as Sierra de Juarez, Bighorn territory. All of that was Kumeyaay territory, no? As the Kumeyaay are the original inhabitants of the San Diego County and the northernmost part of Baja California, they were the original stewards of the land and named every single place, bay, mountain, arroyo, valley, and lake, and each being roaming this region, from the coyote to the tortoise, its innumerable flowers, butterflies, lizards, just to recall a few, no? The Kumeyaay named them all and knew them as a brother knows a brother or a housekeeper her home. Names full of deep knowledge and understanding, most of it lost to the majority of our border communities. By the terrible reason of the deep fear some of the immigrants who founded this country felt for them just because of their differences, a fear that pushed some men to the most cruel of actions, a fear based on ignorance and a desire of an impossible certainty in an essentially uncertain world. Alas, the damage has been done. Time has healed most of its wounds, and the Kumeyaay have survived to thrive in what is left of their ancestral homeland for them to keep. The 12 tribes north and the 7 pueblos south of this divided land. And even though I am myself a product of this colonial past, there has always been a place for love, understanding, and gratitude. And today, I am grateful for being able to share with the Kumeyaay this earth and love it deeply to safeguard our fellow brothers, animals, plants, and human beings. For God, or Mother Nature, as you prefer to call, has given us a chance to renew history, to break the cycle of violence and save what is left of beauty in this soil and the world. Today here in Balboa Park, a place founded on the very land dispossessed to the Kumeyaay community for the enjoyment of the rest of the San Diego people, I ask you please commit to it. As I know this park has become a land of peace and wisdom, I hope it remains like that in the future and that we all do our best for the very best of everyone. So there are no more genocides in our watch, no more land theft and ecocide, and we all learn that diversity is richness. Thank you.
Thank you for that grounding reminder. Like, we have to acknowledge, not just through acknowledgement, but through the actions that we take, the art that we create, to look at the past. That's how we really build a way into the future. So it's so important. Thank you for making that acknowledgement. Next, I would like to introduce Jonathan Gluss. You can come on to the stage. Jonathan was at, I host this thing called Creative Mornings. You were at the first Creative Mornings that I ever did.
Yep.
So I was very amateur and green, and I was getting introduced to like someone that is heading something in the arts. So thank you so very much for that. Jonathan Gluss is the executive director of San Diego Arts and Culture. Right there, make some noise for that. He plays a key leadership role in Sacramento, Houston, Pasadena, focusing on cultural planning, creating economy for creatives, and arts advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramal. Thank you, Ramal. Yeah, I was at that first Creative Mornings. For any of you who are not familiar with Creative Mornings, and I'm sure most everyone in this room is, we have the third largest Creative Mornings in the world. Is that correct?
We got the 8th, but I'll take that.
Okay, it's the 8th. It's the 8th. Okay, we're in the top 10, so that's pretty good. So my job is to actually just take a few minutes and ground the past a little bit before we get into a lot of really, really solid, positive conversations about what has happened over the last year and a half through far south border north, and what this could look like in the future. So before I do that, though, let me make sure that I acknowledge some folks who are with us today. This is a long program, so there'll be some folks coming in and out. So I'm going to acknowledge everyone who has RSVP that they're going to be here this morning. We have representatives from State Assembly Member David Alvarez's office, State Assembly Member Tasha Borner's office, members of the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture. I'm going to pause. Members of the commission, are you here? Kamal, thank you for being here. Thank you for your leadership at the commission. And we have members, I love saying this, we have members of the San Diego County Commission for Arts and Culture. Who is here from the County Commission? Thank you, Felicia, for all of your work here, and I think I saw a few others in the room. I think this is the first time I've actually said both commissions. Very exciting. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Danielle. Steve Hill is here from the Office of Mayor Todd Gloria. Casey Smith, yep, give it up. Where's Steve? My boss, Casey Smith, Deputy Chief Operating Officer for the City of San Diego, is here. Thank you for being here, Casey. And later this morning, Councilmember Henry Foster is going to be popping in as well. So we have lots of folks who are really interested in the conversation this morning. Thank you to everyone who's with us today. And we have members of the California Arts Council. I see one right here. Thank you, everybody from the members of the California Arts Council. So let me frame this for a minute. So let's go back to spring of 2020, not a place and time we all want to be. I've already been told to wrap it up, so I'm going to do this quickly. Spring of 2020, the pandemic is arriving. None of us know what is in front of us. We all remember that Thursday afternoon when we were sitting in our living rooms or our offices or someplace, and basically we were told to shutter. We were actually running a grant panel that day, which was crazy. In any place, shortly thereafter, we saw rapid fire shifting coming from local government, state government, federal government, philanthropy. A lot of focus was being directed at nonprofit organizations, small businesses, family health. Something was not happening here, though. Individual artists were not being tended to. The reason why is because individual artists tend to work outside of the systems that we all know how to invest in. And a lot of what we've been talking about since 2020 is, what are these systems? Do they still serve us? How do we need to shift, change, expand the systems that support all of us? And many of us who are in arts administration jobs, and I'm not going to go too far on this, we know that individual artists is where we need to center our work. We don't have arts organizations without individual artists. We don't have community without individual artists. So we learned very quickly here in San Diego that we needed to figure out how to get this done, how to literally get money in the hands of individual artists. The city of San Diego did a couple things. We launched Park Social, an effort to commission artists to do temporary artworks in parks throughout the city. It was the first time we had done that. It was hugely successful. And then secondly, we did something called SD Practice. It was the first time that we intentionally acquired existing pieces of art from San Diego artists. Basically, that was, again, not only did we want to expand the collection of the city, but we also wanted to put badly needed money in the hands of artists right away. But the third thing that was happening was there was a cadre of folks that are going to be speaking with you in just a minute, who responded to what was going on at the state level. The state was working on something through the California Arts Council called Creative Core. And that was also an effort to get money into the hands of individual artists at the highly localized level. That has become, I believe, a blessing for all of us. It has changed the way that we think about systems that we work with, that we work through and with here in our community. It was the first time we've officially worked with Imperial County. So it's been a sea change, and we think about the arts ecosystem and the artists' ecosystem here in the southernmost part of California along the border. I only hope next time we can actually have artists from Tijuana and Northern Baja being part of this effort. The other thing that happened is philanthropy stepped in. We have friends from the Prebys Foundation here as well. Prebys saw this effort and said, this money from the state is so important, but it's not enough. So Prebys stepped in to make sure that the costs of running the hubs sites would keep those organizations whole so the artists could have more resources. So this is a lesson that I think is going to forever change the way that we think about our work in our community and our region. It's going to change forever the way that we think about how we not just serve and support individual artists, but the role of individual artists in our community. That individual artists are actually the backbone of the creative systems in our region. They're also front and center on a daily basis to what's happening at the community level. So for the artists in the room who've participated this on behalf of the Commission for Arts and Culture, thank you. We have learned so much from you. I'm 3 times over time, so I'm going to pause there. But I now have the very good fortune to introduce someone very special to me personally. Danielle Brazel is the Executive Director of the California Arts Council. As she plays with her hair. Danielle and I have been colleagues for more than 2 decades, doing the work that arts administrators do, which is basically navigating internal systems in government. We're so delighted that you are now at the California Arts Council, Danielle. It could not have been a better pick at this time in particular. I also want to say that I first became aware of Danielle Brazel back in the day when she was a performance artist. So if you don't know that part of Danielle's career or trajectory, Google her. She was well known nationally, coming out of Los Angeles. I had the good fortune of seeing her in spaces in Chicago and Houston as well. So with that, I would like to introduce our artist in residence at California Arts Council, Danielle Brazel.
I love you, baby. All right, once a performance artist, always a performance artist. And I do play around with this idea that I am engaged in a multi-decade approach to transforming government from the inside through the lens of an artist. So I've been an arts administrator for the past 25 years or something, and but my heart is always with those that create. And I do work a little bit with clay at the moment because what we all know is engaging in an artistic practice is actually good for your health, for your mental health, for your way of being in the world. And so I'm very, very grateful. And I want to so I have some remarks. Because I'm a performance artist, you're going to get some of them, and then I'll do some others in the ad-lib fashion, so bear with me. I think I have 6 minutes, but quite frankly, I think I'm going to take less unless I don't, and then you can just get the cane. But I want to just give it up for Jonathan Glass because, Jonathan, you are a leader, and in the time that I have known you, have witnessed, have worked alongside you, you are so incredibly grounded in your values. You are catalyzed by an insatiable vision of possibility, and you are fervently committed to advancing arts, culture, and creativity nationally and locally and everywhere in between. And I just think San Diego, I've had some time, I know a few folks in the community. I had a chance to do some work when I was consulting with Californians for the Arts last year. And I gotta say, your leadership, your civic leadership is so good and tight and connected. And what that does is that it creates the conditions for creativity and collaboration that would not be possible otherwise. And I think it really shows by all of you here today and the incredible work of this initiative. So my name is Danielle Brazel. That's what it says right here. I look all good and confident, but I just got nervous. In this moment, I serve as the executive director, maybe the artistic director of the California Arts Council. And what I do is I operationalize the policy that was set forth by council. And I just got to give a shout out to the vice chair of our California Arts Council, Miss Leah Goodwin right here, who is also a fierce, fierce community advocate. And I don't know if our other council member from San Diego, Vicky Estrada, is here. I don't see the hat, so maybe she's not here, but maybe later. And as Jonathan said, 3 years ago when we were, it was really 4 years ago, when we were in lockdown, when we were in the heart of it, the advocacy work that has happened to push Governor Newsom and the legislature and local municipalities was phenomenally fierce and unrelentless. I was at the city of Los Angeles at the time, and we just kept hounding the mayor, hounding city council. You have got to support the artists and the arts and cultural infrastructure of our region, because if you don't, we will lose it, and it will take decades, if not ever, to build back. Once you lose it, it becomes incredibly hard to bring it back. And so there was a group of advocates that pushed to make sure that there was an arts advocate at the table, where there was a business steering committee at the governor's office. That member was Deborah Cullinan. She came up with this phenomenal idea after consulting with many, many different leaders in the field, and pitched it, and lo and behold, $60 million was essentially injected into the California Arts Council to distribute specifically to put artists back to work during the pandemic. And they did this specifically through an idea that artists are essential to our civil society. Yeah. Because why? Because artists create belonging. Because artists give us an opportunity to reflect back. Because artists help give the possibility to communities that inspire. And so $60 million injected, 14 administrating organizations. Artists, and let me just make sure when we talk about artists, I'm including traditional culture bearers. I'm talking about creatives. You circulate ideas of hope, introspection, clarity, and truth. And we absolutely need this in our world. So $5 million here injected into 2 counties. I cannot wait to see the extraordinary output that has happened over the past couple years. And I want to my call to action is, let's not let this go. Let's use this as a way to springboard to the next 60 million and the next 120 million and the next 240 million, so we can make sure that arts, culture, and creativity is at the center of our society. Thank you so much. I'm over time. See how fast that goes. And I can't wait to hang out with you today.
Hey, I'm not going to stop you from talking about millions, okay? You can keep on talking about it. 500 million. Keep on going. Billions. We need all of it. We need all of it. Thank you. Thank you for those reminders as well. And so we're going to get a little bit deeper into this, and I'm going to, introduce 3 leaders who are making a significant impact in our region through their dedication to arts, culture, and community development. And first, you guys can come to the stage. Christina Jones, Felicia Shaw, Megan Thomas, come on to the stage. Give them a round of applause. Christina Jones is a cultural strategist and chief civic art strategist for San Diego. She leads art initiatives like Far South Border North and SD Practice, focusing on public art and developing creative economy in San Diego. Felicia Shaw is the executive director of San Diego Art Matters, with over 3 decades of experience in nonprofit arts management, and she has held leadership roles in organizations like Women's Museum of California and the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis. Megan Thomas is the president and CEO of Catalyst San Diego and Imperial counties. With 20 years of experience, she leads collective efforts in philanthropy, equity, and community impact. So we're going to get into a couple of slides, and you're going to get to know a lot more about why we're here.
You make us sound good.
Oh, let me get a mic too. Oh, you got your clicker? Oh, no, you know I'm gonna stay. Okay, thank you so much. I think it's just the work that y'all do. It shows, and it's the reason why we're here and why we can continue to do art. And so I'm gonna start off with a question for Christine. For those who aren't familiar, can you tell us about the Far South Border North program?
First of all, can you hear me? Is this okay? So good morning, everyone, and thanks Mel for that introduction. So as you can see, we all have copious notes. I think we could be up here all day talking about Far South Border North. I think that's just how impactful this program has been on the region. But to answer Ramel's question, I'm going to take you back 2 years ago. Around this time, the city of San Diego was awarded a $4.75 million grant from the California Arts Council, and it was to basically administer a pilot creative core program in what they identified as the Far South Regional Service Area. And so and we're one of 14 administering organizations across the state that have been facilitating creative core programs. So with that support, we were tasked with planning and implementing a creative core program specific to the Far South, which comprised San Diego and Imperial counties, and to re-grant funds to artists and cultural practitioners, and for them, and basically to deliver public awareness campaigns in specific geographic areas. So we knew that was really a momentous task, and it was 2 distinct counties. We share a border with Mexico, and we're north of the border, yet we are distinct. And so we wanted to bring in partners, and we knew we were going to need to do that. So we quickly mobilized, we engaged partners, and we planned and basically built and started implementation within a few months, essentially, in order to get the program up and running. So the program is officially called Far South Border North Artists and Cultural Practitioners in Community. We call it Far South Border North for short, and essentially it is a creative workforce program, as we've discussed, and it's designed to provide direct financial support to artists and practitioners that are doing a couple things. So they participated in a year-long experience to incubate and then carry out a public messaging campaign that raised awareness, engaged, and inspired change, and to also help support the health and well-being of San Diego and Imperial County communities that have been facing health inequities. And then we wanted them to be able to support their practice within that year experience, to be an artist or a cultural practitioner here in our region. So let's go to the next slide. So what did that mean? That meant that we needed to create a regional collaborative, as I mentioned, in order to really do this successfully. So we brought in some key partners, so Catalyst of San Diego and Imperial counties. We brought in San Diego Art Matters. We got early guidance from the San Diego Foundation as well. Additionally, the team creating this ecosystem comprised 5 social service, or social sector, I should say, organizations. And they served as hubs. We kind of facilitate our program in an incubator kind of cohort model. So those hubs facilitated and worked with a smaller kind of cohort of our artists and practitioners throughout a year long in developing awareness campaigns and then implementing those campaigns and supporting and mentoring them along the way. So a big shout out for Arts A Reason to Survive, Alliance San Diego, Casa Familiar, Imperial Valley Food Bank, and Rise San Diego. And we've worked with other programs as well. So the Far South Border North program was identified as a community initiative under the San Diego World Design Capital Initiative, which is happening this year. So that was a real honor for the program to be recognized in that way. And we've been working with creative youth from the David's Harp Foundation and Mixed Communications to be able to promote and document the program over the next, over the last year. And then, of course, none of this is possible without the artists and cultural practitioners and the organizations who are our grantees. Felicia's going to touch a little bit more on that in a few minutes. And then, of course, the funders, right? This was a huge undertaking, and we had, of course, the California Arts Council, who had the vision for Creative Core and the funding, and the Conrad Prebys Foundation, or the Prebys Foundation now, provided and committed $1.4 million to the program. So that boosted our funding for this program to $6.15 million. And the majority of those funds went out directly to artists and cultural practitioners. So we are incredibly thankful for the California Arts Council, for the Prebys Foundation to provide that support, and also recognize the important role that artists play in community. And I'll just also share that what you see is kind of Jonathan mentioned earlier is an ecosystem approach is what we essentially took with philanthropy and nonprofit organizations and government and individuals and businesses all working together to be able to support the health and well-being of our communities here in our region. So let's go to the next slide. So just want to touch a little bit on, okay, I'll just share. So in my mind, Far South Border North is not just a program, it's a vision. It exists to be a job creator, but it also exists to be able to increase opportunities for artists to do civic-minded work, to do that intersectional work, that cross-sector work that we know is very powerful. These artists tap their creativity to be able to work, in these different areas. So the program goals you see here were actually outlined by the California Art Council as part of Creative Core overall. And so these artists over a year long basically designed and then created public messaging campaigns, and they had to align with at least one of these goals. So the goals here that are abbreviated included public health, and so the idea was to increase awareness of public health associated with the spread of COVID-19, because remember this money was coming out of that process, but also associated health disparities. Another goal was civic engagement, including election participation. Another goal was water, energy conservation, environment, climate mitigation, and then finally social justice and community engagement. And happy to share that the program fulfilled all those goals. In fact, many of the artists and practitioners' individual campaigns touched on multiple goal areas, and you'll see that today as you kind of learn more about their campaigns. And lastly, I'll just share that these artists and practitioners are change makers. They are community builders. They work cross-sector and really infuse their communities and promote health and well-being. And at the city, and I think I can say this for our partners, we couldn't be more proud of the achievements that they've made through this program.
That means it couldn't happen without you. It could not happen without you. So now I want to get into some questions for Felicia Shaw as well. And I got my alarm going off. I got a 10 o'clock alarm for no reason. Just no reason. Just be like, oh, okay, it's 10 o'clock. It's just going off in my pocket right now. I know you have firsthand experience with this project. And so oh, yes. But y'all are like the Trojan horse of this. And I guess we all are Trojan horses of this program as well. Can you share more about the grant making process and the framework that San Diego Art Matters has helped develop for this certain program? Because it was a lot different than the other grants that I had seen before, and it made it a lot more welcoming. So I appreciate that.
To hear that. So everything about Far South Border North was big and bold and unique. Can you hear me now? Okay. So everything about this program was big and bold and unique and so different than anything we'd done before. I like the way Danielle phrased it. We had to operationalize those big goals. How do we what's the sausage making behind this? And so what we did was we brought in the two Victorias, Victoria Pletner Saunders and Victoria Hamilton. They were part of my grant making schemers. And we really started thinking about how can we lean into the values of this whole venture that we were on. Together with the other partners, we established the values and guiding principles that defined our grant-making approach, principles such as transparency, trust, user-friendly technology, who heard of that? Broad and deep community outreach, quick turnaround, and responsive customer service. While FSBN, we also called it FSBN. It was a new program. We recognized that many artists and cultural practitioners living and working in our region were not new to this work. They simply needed more opportunities, more job opportunities, and so they were the applicants we were looking for, the people who were already doing the work. Our eligibility guidelines restricted participation to San Diego and Imperial County. That makes sense. LA, don't try to come down here and get our money. Additionally, we prioritized applicants who lived and worked in communities that demonstrated the highest level of need as indicated by the California Healthy Places Index. We all know that term now, the HPI, right? So what the HPI is a data and mapping tool created by the Public Health Alliance of Southern California to identify and advance health equity in neighborhoods across the state. So neighborhood by neighborhood across dozens of zip codes, the HPI maps the social conditions that drive health. And that's where we wanted to center our work. Once the application phase was open, our work was cut out for us. We developed and implemented an extensive community outreach strategy that spanned both counties, utilizing everything from social media to plain old grassroots networking. We held virtual office hours and in-person workshops and maintained an email-activated help desk. We wanted to level the playing field. After the application deadline, we shifted to the review and selection phase of the process, and our review panel included community experts who were deeply embedded in the HPI-designated communities and knowledgeable about the issues and were aware of the value that artists like you bring to the process. The outcome of all of our work was gratifying. The Round 1 grants opportunity resulted in the selection of 60 diverse and talented individual artists and cultural practitioners, many of whom are in this room right now. Round 2, which was only open to organizations, yielded 18 nonprofit organizations who in turn hired others. And when I say others, they're still coming in. We still don't have an accurate count of everyone because they're still hiring, believe it or not. So to date, those 18 organizations have created jobs for dozens of artists and cultural practitioners in our 2 counties. All total, there are 78 grantees and hundreds of artists and cultural practitioners involved in FSBN to date. We're extremely pleased with the role that San Diego Art Matters played in this project, and we anticipate that the number of artists involved with FSBN will continue to grow over the coming years. And shout out to Katie Ruiz for my earrings.
Those are nice right there. Match too. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. And thank you for the opportunity because, we're talking about life and death here. I live down in National City. The air's not good. Sometimes the water's not good. And we talk about these things. We talk about these things tirelessly. And sometimes we have to talk about it from the mountaintop of art. And then people listen a lot more. And then we become catalysts for other people to be brave enough to talk about this in another way. And so to talk about Catalyst.
That was smooth.
Yeah, that's what we do. Catalyst was very involved in the implementation. Can you share more about how Catalyst was involved?
Yes, thank you, Ramel. I have to say, it's just been such a delight to get to know these two women better over the last couple of years. There's nothing like trying to implement a project together when you're coming from different backgrounds, different perspectives, different allegiances, but with a shared vision. And we've been through a lot. I gotta tell you, like this, we're not gonna give you all the sausage making because you don't want to see that. But we've come together in a way that will endure beyond this project in the same way that all of this work will endure. Michelle, I'm going to do what I can on the time. I think I have like 28 seconds for the panel remaining, and I'm not going to make that, but we'll do what we can. So, hi, Megan Thomas, pronouns she, her, ella. I am the CEO at Catalyst of San Diego and Imperial counties, which is an important part of the partnership to be able to really center and ensure that there was not just a proportional, but an equitable inclusion of Imperial County. So 25% of all of these funds made its way to Imperial County, which has about 1/10 the population of our region and the same geography. So just like to put that in context, I think that's important. Catalyst is a network, a community of about 100 funders. The Arts and Culture Commission and Prebis Foundation are both members. But really what we do is support collaboration and education among our members. And I want to just recognize, I know I'm up here, I get to sit in the seat because I'm the CEO, but Michelle Silverthorne and Kamal Martin are the heart and soul of Catalyst's work. If just give a wave, uncomfortable. Michelle is not going to give a wave, but I'm going to point at her right there. And Kamal, you all know. It has been heart work for us. Our goal at the outset collectively was not just to fund artists and culture bearers, although that was sort of the core of this, but to do it in a liberating way. To say, here are funds because you are worthy, because this work that you do is valued, and because you need to be well. You need to be able to move in a space of care and support, and not have to also be doing other things just to meet your basic needs. We envisioned a network of support that would be there throughout this process. And so all of the artists and cultural practitioners met with and were matched with one of the social impact hubs that Christine talked about. And those hubs were there to provide expertise on the health and the climate and the other elements of the campaigns, but also to navigate the ebb and flow of being a grantee. Right? Like there are things that you have to do. You have to measure things, you have to report things, you have to come together and express the value, right, to sort of justify the work that you're doing. And that was not something we wanted anybody to do alone. So the work of FSBN in the implementation was to really create this experience that meant you aren't responsible, you aren't accountable, you don't have to justify yourself, but collectively we're going to do that together so that we can come to Public Impact Day with a shared story. So we did peer learning that was meant to support the grant, but also meant to support the ongoing well-being and sustainability of arts and culture as an economic force. We did how to run arts as a business, how to navigate the financial and tax implications, like all of these things that folks struggle with the Google, right, to figure out, we wanted to figure out in community. We provided transportation, food, language support, anything that could make participation more possible and recognize that people are people. Let's go to the next slide. So all of these artists have deep connections with their communities. We have mural, and I think it was said before, like the art, as Danielle said before, this is arts and culture writ large. This is what do we need to support as expression in our community? So we had murals, we had dance, we had voter education campaigns, health fairs, and our hubs brought that all together in a cohesive way with one-on-one support, community sessions, all sorts of things. Next slide. Look at me. I'm going to wrap it up here. In total, we had 71 distinct campaigns. So if you do the math, that means there was some good collaboration. Folks got together and said, not just what can I do, but what can we do? How can we be more powerful together? And these campaigns took place from Oceanside and Santa Isabel to Brawley and Calexico, from National City to San Ysidro, City Heights and Canto. They were all over the place. This was a truly regional effort. I'm just going to skip over the stuff that you already know, that you've already heard. What I really want to say to sort of wrap up is that our goal was not just, and I'm reiterating, our goal was not just to realize these campaigns, to be able to get to today and say we had X number of campaigns in X number of cities, but to demonstrate what it means when we all come together. When we think about what does it mean to take catalytic funding from the state, to take the relationships and the network and the knowledge of our region's commissions and nonprofit support network, to bring folks together in ways that they haven't been supported before, to meet one another and build a community, and to think about a public-private community partnership that is a win-win-win. To be able to do things like tap into the community for a process that is equitable and informed by community priorities, and to have a foundation say, y'all are doing a heavy lift, we want to get in on that. So let's add. Let's not create more work, let's create more impact. So the work that you're going to experience today is extraordinary, and you're going to hear directly from many of these folks about their experience and what has come out of it. But I just want us to remember that we've learned a lesson, and this is something not to put on a shelf and be proud of, it's something to keep out in community and build on. And that's really the people in this room today, the folks who are going to be over at the Mingay later, this is what the public impact has been, and we're so proud to have been a part of it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We couldn't have enough time. Make sure you reach out to these ladies and try to get some of them millions. Reach out the right way. But thank y'all for laying the bricks to really make this happen and reverse engineer everything, because I know it's severely complex. And so make some noise for these three women right here. And I'm sorry, I think we missed your last slide too.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really good slide. Check it out later.
I know it was. It's probably colorful too. Maybe it was purple. Let's just imagine. And so next we're gonna take a little bit of time to set up the stage, because we have a performance that's coming up right now. And so I'm just gonna talk to the audience a little bit while we set up for this performance. It's gonna be by Mickey Vale. She's really awesome. And so it's gonna be a little bit of a play. So I'll explain that in a little bit. But let's just talk about the arts for a second. Who likes to talk about arts? Okay. Some of you are like, woo! Well, let me tell you why I just love art. It reminds me of just articulating an idea or a feeling. Sometimes you go through a situation, and situations that are just so beautiful, sometimes they leave you speechless. Sometimes you have to turn it into art or a play or an abstract painting, or look at a photo that represents what that speechlessness feels like. And so maybe you don't have the words for something at a certain time, but maybe you can get into like a book, or maybe you're going through a revolutionary change in the world. Maybe something's going on in the world right now, and you need something to articulate it. And James Baldwin said this, and I just relate to it so much. He said that people don't like artists. They don't like us because we remind them of what they're not doing. Someone said it before, I think it was you, Danielle, that we're a reflection of society. And sometimes you need that deep, deep reflection of what is going on in the world. And so the artists, we are the articulators of the emotions and of the motion of the world. You know it. Very inspired by you too. Yeah, you make it happen. You make it happen. If you haven't checked out Moses' work, check that out. Okay, so yes, we are getting into a performance that's going to be by Mickey Vale. She is a Far South Border North recipient, and this is going to be with Winnie Beasley and Diane Yvette. Thank you. So without further ado, I'm stepping to the side.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Soul Kiss, a play written by Me, Mickey Vale. Characters, Shay and Lauren. The year is 2014, a time long, long before the revolutionary summer of 2020, when white people and businesses realized that Black lives matter. It's nighttime. Shay and Lauren are sitting in a parked car, taking turns drinking from a small bottle of Hennessy.
What? What?
I told Keisha we were going to the club tonight. She said, make sure you don't fall asleep. Ha ha.
Right? You remember that? How do you fall asleep in a club? Who does that?
I was tired, and it was boring.
But my G, in a club, music blasting, people everywhere. How could you sleep through all that? I mean, you straight hit the drunk hobo pose, drool it all in the club. You are something else.
See, that just shows how tired that spot was.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even stay awake.
You right though. You right. That spot needs a nap.
All that. Oh, it gives me a headache.
Honestly, I don't even mind the music that much. It's just that there ain't no color in there. Like none. I get tired of seeing a bunch of white folks wiggling around on each other.
Not wiggling. and then when we come in, they're all trying to wiggle on us.
Right, right.
They act like we're on display at a fucking zoo.
God, I know. Oh my God, you're so exotic.
Wow, your hair. It's so cool. Can I touch it? No, you can't touch my shit. Back up off me.
What about the ones that just reach out and touch you as you walk by? Oh my God, you're so gorgeous.
Oh, girl, I've been ready to pop the fuck off.
Girl, I can't. If one more Becky puts her paws on me. But really, those spots are not even for us.
True.
I remember when Gossip Girl moved and we went to the new spot for the first time.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Remember? We walked in to sit down and there's pictures of white women on all the tables.
And we kept looking around, trying to find one picture with some color.
Right, just one picture with a drop of color. Pictures of women everywhere, and every single one was white. They were letting us know off top that that place was not meant for us. We got the message loud and clear.
And yet, we keep going there.
There's nowhere else to go.
But, well, I mean, this smut looks like it might be cool tonight, though.
Black girl on a flyer, what? Okay, so kiss.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, we might be onto something here.
Right. She got the little afro popping too.
Yeah, she is low-key fine. Is she gonna be up in there tonight? Oh, let me find out.
All right, were you ready to go in? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So, are you ready to go in?
Hey, let's just wait a couple of minutes.
For what? The bottle's empty, and I'm ready to go in there and fuck some shit up.
You fool.
For real, though. What's up? You look nervous.
I don't really want to, like, run into anybody.
What? Anybody like who? Wait. Are you afraid for somebody to see you walking into a gay club?
I mean...
Really? That's what you're worried about? Listen. Anybody can look at you and tell you are gay. Okay? You go to clubs in Hillcrest all the time.
I know, but that's different. Everybody goes to Hillcrest. Gay, straight, whoever. Nobody's tripping in there.
Okay, so how is this any different?
I mean, this is gay. Their flyer actually says, for women who love women. And I don't know. It feels a little exposed.
If you don't come on, nobody's tripping off you. I mean, come on. You have a fade. You rock Timbs. I think your secret's out, bro.
I know. I know. Let's go in.
Yes. Ooh, y'all about to get this work. Y'all about to get this work.
End scene. Scene 2. Shay and Lauren walk up to the club. There's a long line of black women waiting to get in. The music from inside can be heard from the street.
This line is crazy. When the music is popping, hey, I'm seeing all the honeys out here too. It's about to be a good night.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Wait, is that Tina?
Tina who?
Your cousin Tina.
What?
Where? Up there, at the front of the line.
That is Tina. What the hell? What is she doing here?
I mean, same thing you doing here, apparently.
Oh, hell no. This is wild.
Wait. Who's that she with? Are they holding hands?
That's her roommate.
Oh, okay, roommate. Well, we know she getting a discount on the rent.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
See, and you were scared for somebody to see you going inside a gay club. You might see your mama and your aunties up in there when we get in.
Bye. Hey. What up, Keish? Yeah, we just got in line. Yeah, it is crazy. We're not even inside yet, and it's already popping. I didn't even know that there was this many black people in San Diego. Yo, I guarantee I'm not falling asleep tonight. Hey, let me hit you back later.
End of play.
So did I. I'm gonna move this around. Hello, friends. So, some people know me as a hip hop artist, rapper, DJ. Some people know me as a theater artist, playwright, sound designer, composer. Some people know me as an arts educator, leading hip hop and playwriting workshops throughout San Diego and abroad. There's a distinct group of people near and dear to my heart who know me as a party/vibe curator, as a producer of hip hop events for women of color who love women from 2007 to 2015 under the name of Soul Kiss. In every single one of these capacities and every role that I played, I had to fight to claim space. Whether it was fighting to claim space at the San Diego Music Awards, or fighting to claim space at Pride and have a hip-hop stage added after 35 years of the festival's existence, or fighting to claim space to host events for our predominantly black community in San Diego's famed Hillcrest neighborhood. It was when I entered the world of theater that I found a fun, exciting, and collaborative way to share not only my struggles, but also my triumphs and joys, build community, and thrive in collective healing all at the same time. Not to say that there's not inequity in theater. Let's get that straight off top. There's plenty of it. But in immersing myself into playwriting and theater production, I saw the healing power that this art form held. I wanted to share that power with my community. And so, Soul Kiss Theater was born. How does one define space? Physical space, capacity, outer space? As part of my Far South Border North campaign, Black Space, Black Queer Women Claiming Space, over the course of 10 weeks, my co-facilitator Kimberly King and I hosted weekly playwriting workshops with a group of black queer female identifying writers, leading them on a journey of writing 10-minute plays that explore this question freely, honestly, and most importantly, unapologetically black and queer.
In May, we hosted a reading at Libelula, a queer-owned bookstore in Barrio Logan, where professional actors, including these two wonderful actors, performed the plays that had been written in the workshop. The Black Space Auditory Theater piece will feature 3 short plays, including the one you just heard, in radio play form. The Auditory Theater piece will debut at Soul Kiss Theater's first full production, our very first full production, in collaboration with the Old Globe Theater, running October 17th through 27th at the Chrysalis Monarch Center for the Arts, also in Barrio Logan. Ow. I say all that to say, now put that in your pipe and smoke it. I put in work late night like a culprit. Black rage, use the stage as my pulpit. Bless you with the soul, kiss, remain focused. And you know this. Probably dreaming when I wrote this. Wash the pain away with the whole fifth. Maybe I'm hopeless, but I ain't sweating it. I roll with individuals that's focused on getting it. Getting fly, getting money, getting by, getting home from work, getting comfortable and getting high, getting in the studio, getting open and getting mind, getting wise. Because anything less would be uncivilized. I see it in your eyes. You just want to get free and live life without strife the way it's meant to be. We got roots that run deeper than the Red Sea, and we're going to make it to the mountaintop eventually. Thank you very much.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful right there. Give them another round of applause. So we're going to start setting up our panel, but I just want to show love and just give that reminder. I love the part where you saw another black person on the flyer. Because just that representation of seeing someone with a shared experience that looks like you is so impactful. You know that things are going to be different when people in those positions of power or on the flyer are part of the programming, that it's gonna share your culture in a different type of way, in a more hands-on way that's very impactful. Yes. So I love that. Make some noise when you like to see people that look like you when you go somewhere. You know? I have this, I guess I'll call it a theory, but it probably isn't even a theory. It's just that culture is shared experience. You know, we go through our lives, we have our individual experiences, but when we come together and share that experience, especially in a cycle, that's when it becomes culture. And so the fact that we're coming here today and sharing all of our experiences through art is a huge representation of culture, and culture gets bigger and bigger the more that we share it. Even San Diego being a representation of design capital of the world. When we share our culture, we can share a global culture and remind ourselves of a bigger humanity that we're all tapped into and that we're all a part of, and that we're articulating the earth and the world together. So make some noise for yourself, sharing culture together. Make some noise for yourselves, yes. Okay, we got all the chairs. We weren't sure if all the chairs were gonna fit. So if you're right there on the side, don't fall off the stage, okay? Okay. So I'm just gonna announce this panel. It's basically gonna get into who are the other people that are part of the Far South Border North Grant. They're gonna present a few things as well. And so please come to the stage if you see your name. Johnny, Seth, Amanda, make some noise for the people coming to the stage. Bernice, Catherine, Mabel, come on down.
Do I need to hold this or?
Yeah, we're gonna hold the mics. So you guys can just come down and have a seat. And I'm sorry, Amada. And thank y'all. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name right now or anything like that. I'm reading the book. It's called Loving Corrections. Thank y'all for giving me loving corrections. I appreciate that. And our two panelists for today, Roque Barros is the executive director of the Imperial Valley Wellness Foundation. He has over 30 years of experience in nonprofit and foundation management, focusing on community building and economic development. And Francisco Morales is a composer and curator based in San Diego. He integrates sound, photography, and video in his work and curates exhibitions at Casa Familia's The Front Art and Cultura in San Diego, Tijuana border region. Please make some noise for our moderators.
Great. Well, good morning, all of you. And my name is, as you mentioned, Roque, and some people know me as Rocky Barros. So I am the director of the Wellness Foundation and one of the hosts, actually co-hosted with the Imperial Valley Food Bank. And we're really excited to be part of this panel when I was asked to, which is artfully shifting perspectives towards healthier communities. And this couldn't be more appropriate for us in the Imperial Valley. I was born and raised in the Imperial Valley because the campaign of these artists and practitioners is really critical and timely, I think, right now, because as many of you may or may not know, the air quality is a health hazard in the Imperial Valley. We face health inequities and disparities that I could talk all day about, but through this, working with these artists and these practitioners, it was really exciting for them to really focus on this and to start to shift some perspective in different ways that we can move forward and hopefully improve conditions in the Imperial Valley. Francisco?
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Roque. My name is Francisco, Arts and Culture Director at Casa Familiar, also an artist. I'm very honored and happy to be here and happy to be part of this project and collaborate with some of the artists in this panel and some of the artists in the room. And as you know, I work mostly in San Isidro, represent the border community of San Isidro, Tijuana. And yes, we have also a lot of things to do there, a lot of work to do. And I'm happy that these things are improving and helping our communities. And in that sense, we know that artists play a role in society. Maybe we realize it more during the pandemic because we all needed TV, we all needed music, we all needed paintings, whatever online activity that we had. But I think this project started measuring things, and that is very important because we didn't have a lot of numbers, a lot of data of what is the real impact of art. So with the stories that you're gonna hear right now, you're gonna realize, you're gonna find out what the impact could be. And I'm hoping that this will inspire you also to shift attitude and engage in healthy behavior in your community and regarding issues like public health and climate. So I'm gonna introduce some of the panelists. Let me get my note, I'm sorry. And yeah, I'm gonna start with Berenice Vadillo. Her project is called My Cancer Journey. Berenice is a licensed marriage and family therapist, illustrator, muralist, and multimedia artist. She illustrated an award-winning book, Am I Blue or Am I Green? Berenice is also a Chicano Park muralist with a doctorate in art therapy, a social and emotional learning consultant. An amazing artist, Berenice, great to see you.
And the next nominee is? So I'm introducing Kathleen Cho, and she's with the Asian Culture and Media Alliance project. Her project is Food for Life. Well, first of all, her organization serves to elevate and amplify the voices within our Asian, American, Native, Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander diaspora, and the organization works to increase visibility towards dismantling social and cultural barriers.
Next will be Johnny Bear Contreras and Mabel Reynoso. We were able to work with them at Casa Familiar and be witness of the amazing work that they did with the community and with the youth. Mabel Reynoso is an award-winning playwright, educator, and applied theater practitioner. Mabel is also co-host of the podcast A Playwright and leads 2 Youth Theater. I work in emerging Latinx playwrights. Johnny Bear, thank you, Johnny, also works in the medium of a sculpture. His work is in representation of indigenous peoples within the arts industry, sharing that our work is our belief system on display for the whole world to see. Bravo.
The next artist that I get to introduce is Fernando Floreza, and his project is Nocturnal Imperial Valley. He creates art and visual campaigns for various film and TV studios. His work has been showcased globally, most recently in the Crafting Pinocchio exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art in New York.
And next, Amanda Torruela and Seth Gatzen from the Media Arts Center San Diego. Their project was called Connected Voices. The Media Arts Center San Diego promotes access to media arts in marginalized communities and supports the professional development of media artists through outreach education and promotes community access to media and technology. Okay, so I think we're good to start with the presentations. We're going to start with Berenice, if you can come, please.
All right, hit it. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. As a marriage and family therapist and as a person with a PhD in art therapy, I use art and psychology to work with people to process through mental health issues, including trauma. And I work in the community using art and dialogue to give voice to people. So when I got this opportunity, I was so excited, and I had so many ideas, but the world had other ideas for me. And I got cancer right in the middle of this. And it was overwhelming, and it was the worst time ever because I was just living life. And in this process, I had no idea what I would do. And I didn't want to get back the money. So Leah told me, hey, why don't you go ahead and do it on cancer? But that meant that I was going to be raw and in display. And I started by doing videos. And in those videos, we talked about the different types of cancer. We talked about mental health issues. And most importantly, I think that I became this person that was real. When I started with these videos, people reached out to me and they told me that they had cancer I did not know. A lot of them were people of color. My mom, as a matter of fact, had breast cancer in the 90s where they took everything, a radical mastectomy, and no one knew and she didn't tell anyone. And so to be able to suffer alone, I thought was the worst thing. And at this time, I also had a grant to restore my mural that I did in 1997 in Chicano Park. And I'm not a poet, but somehow poetry fell through my pores. And so I started going around after my double mastectomy, talking about these feelings and things that had no words. And within that process, I realized that I connected with other people. I connected with their pain. I connected with their hope. I connected in this really treacherous place.
Treacherous ninja. I was busy living my best life, so I chopped off my tits. I woke up with hollow eggs filled with surgeon's breath. Lucky you. They look like a can of busted biscuits. My mangled blue nipple. Will it rise like Jesus? I cried. But you don't have to burn now. But you don't have to lose your hair. My lymph nodes, 12, were given as penance. As ritual sacrifice. It's over. Except it's not. But you're cancer-free. Thank God, it's thank plastic surgery. Are you eating vegetables? Are you drinking? Are you praying? You had cancer? Don't lick your left arm. Don't think about that blue nipple dying. Don't eat salami. Don't worry about worrying. Yay, you're cancer-free.
So as part of this, I created a website. I created a poetry book that will be given to newly diagnosed patients at Sharps. I created a solo art show at the Hill Street Country Club. I ended up doing the 70-foot mural with my girl gang. I ended up doing a QR code where everything moved. I ended up working with Chicle and Sandra and Kendrick on a toolkit, and I did everything I could to put my head above water because I was just trying to save my life and to do something that connected. And then it was the time to come in and do the mural in Chicano Park, and I was so excited. I then had the ability to come in and do a mural about women and strength and include LGBT.
This is a story of a little Chicanita that wanted to paint in Chicano Park. But there was no mural painting, so she painted on canvas, and she glued it up. She grew up and found a girl gang. In 2023, she had the opportunity to restore it. And now she had an amazing team of mujeres, restoration team, scaffolding, and we were gonna do this amazing thing. But bam, right in the middle, she got breast cancer. But breast cancer messed with the wrong person because we were getting this done. We invited Logan Heights residents, community artists, children, adults, elders, and it was a beautiful thing.
Coming in to work this morning, somebody's already defaced our mural. Homophobics and anti-African American, anti-black.
You gay bitches on the motherfucking mural.
Are you going to face the art? Are you going to ruin a mural in Chicano Park? Is that what you're saying? Yes. Are you going to ruin it? Yes. It's not going to go up.
So negative is showing all the people in our community that are lesbian and gay?
Keep it to yourself. I don't want my grandson to see like that.
And instead of repainting the original mural, we created alchemy with the hate, and we created this beautiful smoke that went throughout our mural with the message, if you hit this mural, you hit our whole mural because we stand behind our LGBT community and our whole community. And through the bullying and the hate, we created a safety zone. We created a bubble in which we generated love and art. We invited the community members and the restoration team to paint a heart and pledge to take care of women and children.
And you have to pledge that you're gonna respect and keep safe little girls and women. Do you pledge? Do you pinky swear?
Pinky swear.
And we didn't know if we were going to finish because, of course, people didn't want the story to come out. But you know what? It needs to. It is now the largest mural in Chicano Park done by women for women about women.
So here I thought I was struggling, having 5 surgeries in the year, trying to be cancer-free, trying to go through all of this, and the universe decided that I wasn't done, that I had to fight. And so my campaign quickly turned to treacherous titties because it was a treacherous road. And I ended up doing art therapy workshops with the community. And the thing that I learned is that here I was trying to help the community, but the community was helping me. And that was really important for me to take that away. And then we have this amazing playwright, Maybell, who did a documentary where we're looking at a longer film documentary. But the takeaway for me within this journey, one is that I am much stronger and I can connect with other people, and we need to stop saying stupid shit about people who have cancer. Thanks.
Kathleen, what's next?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathleen Choi, the lead artist for Food for Life campaign led by the Asian Culture and Media Alliance, or ACMA. Our project goes beyond being a documentary series. It is a crucial initiative focused on the public health efforts to reduce the spread of COVID-19 and other diseases by addressing health disparities and inequities through culinary arts. Our campaign champions health and wellness equity for youth. Our mission is to foster healthy eating habits, provide accessible wellness resources, and equip young people with the skills needed to prepare nutritious meals for themselves and their families, which is a crucial mission now more than ever. So, driven by my passion for promoting healthy eating, this campaign focuses on underserved youth who often face mental health challenges that lead to poor eating habits. Through culinary education, we aim to empower them to make informed, healthier choices that support their physical and emotional well-being. Our primary objective is not just to address health disparities and food insecurities, but to make a tangible difference in the lives of the youth by equipping them with the tools and knowledge to develop healthy eating skills and habits and essential culinary skills. We aim to improve their overall health outcomes. Food for Life brought together diverse culinary artists and practitioners to develop a youth-focused program that teaches disease prevention, basic cooking skills, and nutritious, accessible recipes. The program also fostered cross-cultural understanding and strengthened community engagement, positively impacting the health and well-being of our youth. So we designed the campaign as an immersive culinary arts experience, encouraging direct public engagement and interactive learning. The program was centered in the lowest HPI neighborhoods with key locations at Hoover High School, the NEC Kitchen, and the Wild Willow Farm and Education Center. And our campaign was meticulously developed over 10 months, beginning with a 5-month planning phase. Implementation and production took place from April to mid-July, followed by 2 months of post-production. The campaign culminated in a public screening event at the Soap Factory last month on August 28. Food for Life was produced by a dedicated team of culinary artists, health and cultural practitioners, and 15 community partners. And through media, we highlighted the transformative power of culinary arts in addressing the nutritional and health challenges faced by our most vulnerable communities. You can see some of the photos taken during our campaign production. From top left to right is Chef Mercedes Sticks from Culinary 816, and our cultural practitioner Larry Edmonds with our media artists at the San Diego American Health Indian Center, and Chef Eddie Gochikoa with our young chefs at the NEC Kitchen below. And we have some more photos with a Kroger representative at the Food for Less location discussing their Zero Hunger, Zero Waste program, and the 2 middle graphics of myself and Chef Eddie promoting our cooking demos at ACMA's Asian Cultural Festival that was held back in May, and with Feeding San Diego, MTS executive, and culinary artists. And some more samples of our ongoing social media campaigns promoting Far South Border North Initiative and our event, where we screen highlights from our Food for Life documentary series. And I'm excited that our followers have grown since March from 4 to 1,300. And it's growing, yes, weekly. And some more photos from our screening event. We also created a free community resource guidebook to provide ongoing support and access to valuable resources, featuring healthy recipes, shopping wellness tips, nutritional guide, and useful links. And a PDF downloadable version is also available on our website. Our campaign mobilized up close to 500 individuals, including youth, artists, volunteers, local organizations, and together we engaged the community, promoted culturally sensitive foods, and addressed dietary needs, raised awareness of food-related health disparities, and sparked meaningful conversations. But due to time constraints, our biggest challenge was in coordinating with artists and youth during the summertime. By looking ahead, pending further funding, we plan to expand the campaign with more after-school hands-on culinary workshops and partnerships with additional schools and local farms, and also developing a Food for Life app. So as a lead culinary artist, I'm proud that my work with the Far South Border North Initiative has played a vital role in raising awareness of the most vulnerable communities' nutritional and healthcare challenges. So, and it's really rewarding to see this work meaningful, drive change, and ignite essential conversations. In my role as a digital specialist and media producer, I also leverage social media and television platforms to amplify our campaign's messages. And our program is scheduled for broadcast on cable TV and simultaneously on our YouTube channel in October, so stay tuned. Here are some quotes from our participants. Now, what truly inspires me is how receptive and supportive everyone has been throughout this campaign. And many of our collaborators have offered invaluable feedback, both in person and through online surveys, which further reinforces my belief that this campaign is vital and should continue. More examples of our ongoing social media posts. So I want to also acknowledge and thank my digital marketing team and staff for their dedication and hard work. And it's been inspiring to see their passion grow, not only in promoting the campaign, but also embracing healthier lifestyles for themselves. So on behalf of my entire team, I want to thank Far South Border North once again for this incredible opportunity, because this campaign has sparked meaningful conversation and is driving real lasting change in our communities. And I'm confident that the impact will continue to inspire and empower everyone we touched, and many more to come. So this concludes my presentation. I wish I had known earlier that we could embed some videos so I can show you highlights of our documentary series. We have 6 episodes altogether, but you can follow our campaign on our website, foodforlifecampaign.com, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Also, personally, if you want to connect with me, you can follow me at Kathleen Choi all across the board. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. And we're going with our next presentation by Mabel and Johnny. Please come to the stage.
Do I have to hit? Oh, okay, there we are. Somos aire. Hi, everybody. My name is Mabel Reynoso. I am a playwright. I am an educator, and I am a teaching artist, multidisciplinary storyteller, and my colleague, Johnny Bear Contreras.
Hauka.
So I am going to go off script today because I've heard 2 things already this morning that I want to draw attention to: air quality and the issues with theater. So the project that we started to do was called Somos Aire. It started when I was on a walking tour in San Isidro, and the topic of air quality was brought up because that is a key issue for Casa Familiar. And one of the environmental expert there was talking about how Willow School, which is an elementary school, it's on the playground, faces a freeway, and they started talking about like the terrible air quality that these children are exposed to every day. And that got me thinking. Actually, the idea came right there and then that I'm going to write a play. It's going to be a play about air quality, and it's going to be called Somos Aire. And beyond that, I had no idea what it was going to be, other than it was going to engage young people to help develop this story. And so we came back to the Casa Familiar, to the front gallery, and started talking. Francisco actually asked, like, does anybody have any ideas for projects? And I raised my hand, and I started talking about it, and I was super excited about it. And then Johnny Bear Contreras said, hey, can I be a part of that? And so we collaborated on this amazing experience that started out with us doing a Young Teatristas workshop where Casa Familiar helped us recruit young people in San Isidro to do a workshop where they were the theater artists, because I'm very big on creating access for young people for theater, especially communities of color, because we know historically communities of color, brown and black, young people are not reflected on stage, black and just young people, all people in general, not necessarily reflected on mainstream stages. And so access is a huge part of my mission as an artist. And so we started with the workshop. I developed a play script. We went to the community because only one of our actors is from San Isidro. The rest of us are I'm from South Bay, from Chula Vista, born in Tijuana, proudly. But we regularly were in touch with the community. We had our very first stage reading of the first draft of the script with the community, and they gave us some very powerful feedback. We brought it back. I did revisions, because that's what we do as playwrights. This is our entire company. Our very first audience member was this 5-year-old boy who is literally the next door neighbor of the theater where we performed. And so we had one performance. That was all we were supposed to do, was just one performance, because like the schedules weren't working out. And what was shocking to us is that at that one performance that we had in June, we had so much interest, and we had some members of elected officials that were not supposed to be there, and we ended up having requests for additional performances, including one very special performance, which I would say was the most important performance, but Casa Familiar actually invited us to perform for their summer camp. So the young people of San Isidro got to see this play, and because we knew they were going to see it, we engaged them as set design or as scenic artists, and so they were making very important parts of the set that are part of one of the climactic moments. You'll see their beautiful artwork here. And then they got to see the show, and they got to be, not just because when people think of theater and they think, how can I be a part of it? They think it's only acting, and it's not. Acting is one part of it, but we are a huge team that there's so many components to making theater, and we wanted the kids to know that there are if they don't want to be on stage, that's okay. I hate being on stage, so I get it. But also, talking about access, this was only supposed to be a theater project, but then we realized that like it's very limiting to just have one show, so we needed to make a comic book about it. And so this is a comic book, and I'm so excited that our set designer is also a comic book artist, and she's right there. I want to give her a shout out. Z, raise your hand, because you're amazing. If you want to see this comic book, we have it. We will be at the expo, so come by our table and check it out, because it's a most beautiful comic book, and I did the writing, she did the art. We put it all together in like, what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks? It came by really fast. The reason why we needed to have this very aggressive timeline is because of that performance that I said for the summer camp kids. It was the last day of summer camp, and we knew that if we did not get this in the hands of the children by the summer camp, that last day, it was never going to get to them. And so I don't think she slept for like probably 4 days straight. But the comic book was accomplished. We're so proud of this whole project. We thought, again, that this would be wrapped up by the end of Far South, Border North by the time that we had to submit our final reports. But people keep asking for performances. We're in talks with the School of Public Health at UCSD. We've already been invited to speak in classrooms. In a few weeks, we'll be there. And then we have additional invitations to go speak at other places. Again, 4 performances. That is our standing ovation for a performance that was not originally scheduled. Yes, but one of the most exciting things that came about through all of this was that we were able to have our very own panel at Comic-Con. Yes, and thank you, Johnny Bear, for making that happen. One of the most exciting things about having that panel was, first of all, it was a full room. If any of you attend Comic-Con, you know, there's the panels that have, like, you know, the 10 people in there. And I thought we were going to have 10 people because I thought, oh, we're going to bring our people, and that was, you know what? No, the room was packed, and the questions at the end were about making theater, which I was shocking because we're at Comic-Con. So anyways, these are the kiddos that we perform for. You'll notice that they have comic books in hand, so we met that very aggressive deadline. And it is so important for us, again, as outsiders coming into the San Isidro community, to really feel like we were a part of the community, and we were so embraced. We were there for about 6 months, and we felt so loved, not only by Casa Familiar, shout out to Francisco and Elizabeth, who like made everything happen for us, but also by the neighborhood. I mean, people would just walk into the theater during rehearsals and just sit there, and we just felt the love of the community. And I cannot say enough about partnering up with Casa Familiar and with the Front Arte Cultura. If you don't know the space, like, go check it out. It's amazing. And yeah, this is us. And Johnny's going to answer all the questions, so like I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you so much. Come by and learn more about our project. Thank you.
All right. Love the energy. And our next presenter, Fernando Floresa.
Hi, good morning. I'm Fernando Riza. My project is Imperial Valley Nocturnal Summer, and our subsequent show, I Feel Like Ice is Slowly Melting, where we explore how a community can adapt to climate change by creating a future and past where our survival hinges on turning the Imperial Valley nocturnal. We'll cover how we used myth, art, and imagination to reframe the conversations around climate change. Our campaign set out to reframe the politically charged conversations around climate change. By weaving in myth and tradition, we created a fresh way to examine our community's place at the forefront of the climate crisis. Our approach started with an interactive exhibit which engaged visitors, then evolved into a more focused climate-themed art show to foster deeper conversations. This is our project timeline from concept to execution, starting in 2023 with strategizing, production in early 2024, and promotional events throughout February. The fair exhibit was in March, with the final art show in April. Each event kind of built on the last one, creating conversations and public engagement, helping us refine and expand the concept and execution of the event. To engage the community, we created this false reality, and it's that 100 years ago, city leaders decided that the Imperial Valley would operate entirely at night throughout the summer to survive our record high temperatures, making us the first fully nocturnal town. And each year for 100 years, we host a week-long transition festival full of lights, music, and art that marks our shift into a nocturnal living, celebrating survival and adaptation. So in order to fully immerse guests in this false reality, we actually built this 100-year-old festival. We created costumes, masks, props, doctored photographs. We made it feel real and rooted in our community's roots and history. Using ritual and spectacle to create a mindset of survival, building a sense of unity in facing the climate crisis together, and bypassing the polarizing rhetoric that often surrounds the topic. And we wanted to make the world feel tangible and recognizable, so we drew on local landmarks. We used esoteric references that only Valley people would know. This allowed our audience to see a version of the Imperial Valley that feels both familiar and magical at the same time. By grounding the narrative in elements people could connect with, we created an alternate reality which encouraged participation and wonder while keeping the focus on our shared future. These are posters designed to advertise our fictional festival. They mimic real-world propaganda ads from the past, building reality and showing how a community might celebrate the transition to a nocturnal lifestyle. The designs hit at deeper themes, though, of survival, innovation, and fostering the enduring spirit of the Imperial Valley. Here we doctored historical photos to depict the festivals from years past. These images help bring the festival to life. We're playing with past and present, fact and fiction. We're making viewers question what's real and what's imagined, drawing them deeper into the narrative, and the goal was to create a sense of nostalgia for something that never existed, while sparking conversations about how we're going to adapt to the future. These are photos from the exhibit where visitors had a chance to interact with the world we created. It's immersive, so we got a variety of reactions. Some visitors were intrigued, asked questions, people laughed, others reflected, but all were engaged in a larger conversation around climate change and how we can approach it with creativity and collaboration. The California Midwinter Fair draws around 90,000 visitors every year over 10 days. Our exhibit was located in the stadium annex, so right front and center at the entrance, so we got thousands of visitors came through, leading to unique conversations around the needs to address climate change creatively, recognizing it as an existential threat to our way of life. To promote the show, though, we didn't just stop at the show. We also held these 3 Dead Parrot sketch parties at a local bar to foster collaboration amongst FSB and artists and the wider community. These events encourage creativity, discussion, and excitement for future FSB and events and shows, helping to build a network of engaged participants ready to contribute and amplify the message. The second component of the show was a gallery show called I Feel Like Ice is Slowly Melting. It was the second component. It's an art show at Stepping Gallery at SDSU Calexico. Here we dove deeper into the impacts of climate change, tackling climate issues in a direct way, while also honoring the resilience and creativity of our community in the face of these challenges. The show was aimed at highlighting the causes and effects of climate change and at the same time showcasing the resilience of our community. The opening night featured over 40 pieces. We also hosted a lecture the next day for deeper discussions where students and the public could ask questions to get a better understanding of the entire scope of the project. This piece here, it's an X-ray of lungs with a tractor spewing toxic chemicals. It's a commentary on the effects of industrialized farmings on our region. We have incredibly high asthma rates. I think it's been talked about before earlier today, and here we're showing the connection between environmental degradation and public health, representing that climate change doesn't only affect our landscape but also our bodies as well. Here we use local landmarks like Salvation Mountain and the Holly Sugar Factory, examining the push for lithium mining in the Imperial Valley. While some see it as a key to green energy, this piece cautions against exploitation and negative impacts. And here the surreal image of the flooded valley shows the results of unchecked climate change, leaving us underwater, both literally and figuratively. These images feature our children in surreal toxic environments. In this one, school children inspect fallen pixels from a broken stock ticker, while guys in hazmat suits gather them. And the other children swim in red mercury from busted thermometers from the intense heat, showing the consequences of prioritizing profits over people and how our youth will ultimately pay for the price of environmental decisions today. Cowboy culture is really big in the Imperial Valley. This iconic rodeo statue is in Brawley, California. It's shown here as a hollow tradition serving to disconnect us from darker realities of industrialized farming, standing in for the mother wolf in the Romulus and Remus image. We critique the romanticized but irrelevant symbols our community holds onto while ignoring deeper pressing issues like climate change. Here we use satire to show social and economic disparities that are magnified by climate change, from a stock market graphic that turns into a landscape to Scrooge McDuck hoarding wealth, here represented as sandbags against flooding, just highlighting how the rich are often insulated from the effects of climate change while poorer communities often suffer more. The show consisted of digital prints, paintings, sculptures, and conceptual art to offer a variety of perspectives on climate change. Attendees reported that the combination of styles helped them engage with the topic in new ways. One standout piece was our set of melted ice sculptures here, symbolizing how the extreme heat melts away even artistic expression oftentimes, a metaphor for climate's impact on all aspects of life. So this project in its entirety invites us to rethink climate change, not through fear, but through creativity and imagination, and challenges the Imperial Valley to see itself as a place ready for the challenge. I want to thank FSPN sponsors and the sports team. Programs like these are essential for the Valley, and I hope we can continue to find ways and opportunities to collaborate and express ourselves. So, thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to continue with Amanda Torruella and Seth Gatzen. Please come to the stage.
Hey everyone, my name is Amanda Torruella. I'm an artist, filmmaker, and film programmer, and one of the lead teaching artists of this project.
Hello everyone, my name is Seth Gadsden. I'm a visual artist, a filmmaker, an educator, and thanks to this funding, we have this work as teaching artist, and I am an education and programs manager at Media Arts Center San Diego.
So what is the Connected Voices Initiative? It's a project by Media Arts Center San Diego where we manage a wide array of media education programs for youth that focus on media literacy, introduction to storytelling, and introduction to the filmmaking process.
For this project, we align the Media Arts Center San Diego's existing educational filmmaking programs under the central theme of mental health.
And so
the campaign's main objective is to address public health crisis created by the COVID-19 pandemic and how it has affected the mental health in youth across San Diego.
we identified and contacted mental health organizations and practitioners and principals and guidance counselors in the schools of participating students, and developed a process for interviewing youth and adults about the current state of mental health in San Diego. Our role as artists and practitioners within this entire process was to collaborate directly with the students, act as producers, and provide mentorship. There were 3 12-week production cycles.
We have showcases, impact screenings, community discussions after every program with student, friends, family, and community members. Each cycle has produced at least 4 to 6 short documentaries addressing the mental health trends in youth in a post-COVID-19 landscape and the resources available to them in their communities. This is a still here from a classroom where the students are interviewing a mental health practitioner.
Each documentary short highlights a mental health trend, and most of them feature interviews with resource providers and or youth, but of course we also encouraged the participating youth to get creative, play with the form, and think creatively. Here are some stills of different shorts that were produced. Connected Voices is possible because of the long-term partnerships and collaborations between Media Arts Center San Diego and organizations such as Second Chance. It's very important for this type of process for the non-art sector and the art sector to intersect, to work together, and figure out how to make impact.
Activities in City Heights are in collaboration with the City Heights Performance Annex Idea Lab and the San Diego Public Library. Our campaign in San Marcos are partners with the Migrant Education Program in North County. MACSD has worked with Migrant Ed for over 30 years.
And over here, we're sharing our project timeline so that you could see the different cycles. We started in December 23rd and wrapped up this summer. As you can see, this can help you get a better grasp of the scope of work. As a working filmmaker, you know, making a film is not easy, and so we encouraged our students to go outside of their comfort zone. Some of the programs are Emerging Makers, for example, which is in partnership with Second Chance and provides documentary production knowledge, technical training, media literacy tools, and a safe environment to explore personal narratives and social justice concepts.
In City Heights, in partnership with the library, we have the Workforce Development Initiative. This initiative is a readiness program for teens and young adults ages 16 to 30. And it's a paid a training program that puts 4 different groups of 15 students in internships with the library system every year.
Hoover Heights Media Project is another example of one of our programs where we work with Hoover high school students in partnership with the Idea Lab and City Heights Public Library. And it's a way for them to engage with media and be able to understand themselves better and think about their local communities.
And during the summer, we went up to North County and worked with students in the Migrant Ed program because obviously they're facing a lot different types of mental health issues and a post-COVID-19 landscape, and to hear from them and learn from them as well.
Right here we can see some highlighted sound bites from different interviews, which, you know, we encourage students to follow their intuition, have conversations with their peers, their friends, their mentors. The documentary process, you know, is really great to push students to listen to their curiosity, and filmmaking is a really powerful tool to be able to connect, foster dialogue, and understand different perspectives either than your own. So
it's so exciting when we can. Which slide are we on here? Okay, there you go. Sorry.
Just some other quotes for you to read that we found really powerful from some of the documentaries. And we were able to connect some of different opportunities to the students. Like we see here, this is a still from Experiences in Teens Mental Health, which was commissioned for a conference on child and adolescent mental health. So it was really great to be able to give some of the students some tangible and realistic experience in our field.
Community members, families of participants, a community-based organization, policymakers, mental health counselors, social workers. Our campaign has featured in-person screenings in these various communities with each session, including the San Diego Latino Film Festival. One thing we didn't mention is that every student that participated in this process received a stipend. Was paid for their work and their contribution to the project. And on Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Digital Gem Cinema, we are screening 15 of these films curated into a block from all these various programs. We'd love to have you come see them and be in attendance.
Yeah, thank you so much for South Border North for this opportunity. And I would like to shout out our amazing hub, Alliance San Diego, in the house. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so much to all the artists, to all the panelists. Another round of applause, please. Since we don't have a lot of time, I think we're going to go straight to the questions. We're going to open the mic if anyone in the audience would like to ask a question to the artist. There's a mic there with Ramel. Anybody, please feel free to interact. Okay. Oh, there's a question over there. Yes. Can we borrow one mic? Yes. Thank you.
Patricia Fisher from the San Diego Visual Arts Network. For those of you that are hoping to continue with the projects that you've so incredibly started, do you have any idea where future funding will come from?
Great question. Anyone who would like to answer?
Future funding, I think there's lots of different avenues, but what I think is most essential is the fact that so many different disciplines are on display. And I think people are seeing that in Congress, having, coming together. And I think that's something for San Diego. It's not a normal thing, right? It's not New York. It's not some of the other main capitals for these types of happenings. So I think our future lies within the city and the county, the state and the federal levels, and developing, first of all, hearing from some of the grant writers today, that's where it's going to come from. And as artists, individual artists, whether we're working our individual campaigns or not, that's where that connectivity has to continue in such a way that we keep the doors open with the cities and the county and the representatives. It really is, that's where it's going to stem from.
Thank you so much. Yeah, one quick reflection. There is not a position in social impact organizations like artists for social impact organizations, but there could be a position in, it's something to consider. I think just the beginning. And ideally, in the future, artists could find a job in an organization just doing art. Thank you so much. Another question from the audience. Yes, there's another question there. Ramel, please. Oh, the mic is over there.
It wasn't a question.
Sorry.
There's also could be money coming down the pike. There's a new initiative called Art Pharmacy. Within the healthcare field, we've known for a long time that over 80% or maybe 90% of illnesses is stress caused by stress, environmental, food, lack of exercise. But I'm also hearing that now that physicians are going to be looking at, instead of writing a script for medication, to write a script to be able to pay for art, music, art lessons. So that may be an untapped resource that's coming down the pikes.
Thank you. Yeah, there's another question.
Yes, I'd love to hear from any of you what most surprised you about working with folks outside of the arts, your partners.
Who would like to answer that?
I'll just start and say that our project was entirely driven from the students that we work with because during the pandemic, it was very difficult to work with students, but then organizations like the Media Arts Center became vitally important because students didn't have access to education in the same way. But coming out of that and kids going back to school, we found that they already wanted to talk about mental health and these issues. And, as we heard in the mayoral debate last night, mental health came up. It's starting to come up and it's beginning to be talked about. And I think it's incredibly important that we listen to the people we're collaborating with and working with in situations like this to hopefully help inform these policies, funding opportunities, and spaces because they're the ones that know what's happening to themselves. All right?
And I'll just say, the thing that surprised me most was working with, interacting with the public and just seeing how quickly the rhetoric around climate change kind of just collapses when you kind of come in from a different angle and you're talking to people from kind of a fun, if they're having fun or if they're experiencing some other emotion that they come into it with. Oftentimes it would break down sometimes with certain people that had very extreme political beliefs, but it was remarkable to see how for a moment there you'd see that facade drop and they'd be acceptable and you could have a human conversation with these people. So that was very surprising to me.
I would say working with a playwright, I'm primarily a public artist and sculptor. I really got to see the inner workings of everything that's applied to the development of the characters and whatnot. I did the sets. It's always been a little bit of a fantasy of mine. But I definitely don't want to leave this stage here today without saying I'm incredibly proud and honored to be counted amongst all of you. I mean, the power and the energy in this room and the folks that gave us this opportunity to be here, that's first and foremost.
I just want to say that one of the things that was most surprising, again, going back to access in theater and who's represented on stages, is that it shouldn't be surprising, but it was surprising how many parents came up to us after the shows and asked, how can we bring theater to our kids' schools in San Isidro Middle School and San Isidro High School? And so because we are historically left out of those spaces, I know that it was very powerful, and I take great responsibility in putting our people on stage, because our cast was all people of color, and that's not something that is normally represented. We had a rigorous, artistically beautiful production, and I know that did something for the young people that got to see themselves and the language that they hear at home, the food that they eat, the culture. There was no translation. It was all there for them. And for parents to come up to me afterwards was really affirming and speaks to, for all of you powerful people in the room, like, how can we bring rigorous theater programs south to South Bay and south of the 8. Thank you so much.
For me, it was really an amazing experience. I mean, I was very surprised, well, and not surprised. I mean, we were all aware about the issues that existed in our community, especially in addressing the health disparities and food insecurities. And talking to some of these youth in the schools that we interviewed and featured in our series, I mean, some of them really just have access to one meal a day. And that really saddened me. And I think that's why it's so important to, for me, food, like I'm sure for all of you, it's the same thing. It plays a very important part in my life. It always has, because it really brings together people and the community together, and it has a healing element. So I really hope that in the future we'll be able to expand our programs and our efforts to really bring together awareness about these important issues that matter in our community.
I was really surprised in working with surgeons and oncology doctors that they didn't really have a pulse on how difficult it was to have cancer and all the mental health issues and the grief and all of those things that come up. And it was interesting having patients come in and talk to them about the groups, about the art shows. And I remember my plastic surgeon looking at an image of a woman that I made into Frankenstein, right? And it was called Frankenstein Tits, on how profound it is for you to lose something, to be amputated, and then to have something else in your body to change in such a heavy way. And so I'm hoping that they will continue to understand that mental health is really important, that we need to talk about this in an artistic way, that everyone has a different process. And so I was surprised that they were open.
Thank you so much. We have time for one last question. If anybody has a question. Yes, there's a question here. Where is the mic? Can you pass the mic here?
No,
oh,
I was going to ask the question.
That was already there. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Hi, Adrian Avalos. I'm a product designer. What are some of the largest challenges you faced internally and externally, both with your projects and what you project in the future? So challenges with the R, internal, external.
What were some of the challenges in developing? First of all, it was the first time we met at our hub at Casa Familiar. Being in a room as individual artists, I think a lot of times we have a tendency to go to our corner and say, I'm only going to do what we're going, what I'm accustomed to. And when we first started, a few of us said, there were like 4 or 5 of us, we're going to pull together, we're going to do this great thing. It was me and Marbell, but I wanted to be a fish out of water was my first thing. So for me, that was my biggest challenge, is to be uncomfortable and just be like not knowing. But I had good directorship, right?
You did good. You did great. You did great.
Anyone else?
This whole thing was a challenge because I had cancer, and
the challenge was, you know, how to stay alive and how to not lose my shit, and also how to connect to other people. And also when I went to Chicano Park, how to deal with that hate. And I really didn't have the energy. And it was really profound. And so the challenge was me to really kind of step in and understand that the people who were throwing hate were also wounded. And they also needed, you know, I wasn't going to give it to them, but they also needed, you know, ultimately to look within themselves. So internally, it was a struggle. I think it was really hard just to keep head above water and keep hope, and to allow other people to give me hope and other people to be there for me.
I'll say a big challenge in the Imperial Valley. The art scene is definitely present, but it's definitely disjointed. A lot of artists they do their own thing, and art's kind of a little bit seen as more of an afterthought. So if there's an event, there'll be an art show tucked into, in the back somewhere, or there'll be a concert and there'll be a couple of people exhibiting off to the side. And it was hard to kind of overcome that and position art as its own event and have it be looked at as an event within itself and kind of approached in a different way. So that was kind of different. And also just the fact that it was disjointed made it very rewarding to kind of see that the artists kind of coalesce together and be in the same room and vibe together and inspire each other. So that was huge for everybody. I know that really moved everybody down there, and that made a huge impact just so that we have each other to support each other and kind of like hype each other up. And I think that was fantastic.
Well, I wanted to share one of the biggest challenges in making films with youth. Filmmaking is a process that demands you to be present, to be curious, to engage with different people. And because of social media, and then you add the layer of the pandemic, youth are, easily isolated these days, and it's hard for them to connect. And filmmaking asks you to do just that. It asks you to look at your surroundings, to look within yourself, to be able to maintain a space of dialogue and conversation with folks. And I think that was something along the process that we realized that more than anything, we really wanted to encourage youth to see filmmaking as a tool and as an outlet, to process things that are going on within their families, within their households, within their schools, but also to look around in their communities and be able to make sense of what's happening in the world. And it's a challenge to ask youth to be present in that kind of way, but it was really beautiful.
Since we have so much leadership in the room, I just want to add to that one of the big things that we found in this project is when you engage with a lot of youth in a lot of spaces, and you're asking them specifically to dig deep on things that are difficult, I find it's important that creating a safe space and having a free program is not enough, that we need to fund and pay and stipend these students. And well, during the pandemic, as we all know, there was money available for arts organizations and spaces because we were filling gaps, and but a lot of that is drying up now, and funding is starting to look a lot different all of a sudden. And a big challenge is, how do we continue to do this work? We stipended all of our programs over the past 2 years, and we're fine. And how do you can't go back? So how do we keep doing this, and how do we keep maintaining this effort and these programs? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges we have moving forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to you. Thank you so much to all the panelists for all the work. Let's all of us keep continue making art and shifting perspectives to be healthier. Let's wrap it up. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause for the panelists and wow. So many frameworks to use, so much inspiration. Right now we are going to take a 9-minute break, not 90 minutes, 9-minute break. So go get some refreshments. 5-minute break. We're going to take a 5-minute break so we can be on time. Okay? Go use the bathroom and everything. Pass the glass door to your left, and we'll be right on it soon. I see you like I'm on my cell phone. I'm sending a text message. I can't clap right now. Okay, you can stomp 2 times if you hear my voice. Okay, I like the claps a little bit. So okay, you might have to send that text message real quick. Okay, clap 3 times if you hear my voice. Oh, y'all sound good. Clap 4 times if you hear my voice. Clap 10 times if you hear my voice. Oh, thank you. No, stop. No, not for me. No, not for me. Okay, that's my prime time working with kids background. The youth is so important out here. And so we're going to get into our panel 2. Make some noise for getting through panel 1. Not getting through it, but making it to hear panel 1. Now we're on to panel 2. So if you see your name, please make your way to the stage. Maria, Betty Bangs, and give them a round of applause as they make their way to the stage. Neil Kendricks, Susanna, Kendrick Dial, Enrique. And before we continue, I'd like to introduce our moderators. Leah Goodwin is the president of Leah Goodwin Creations, which specializes in strategic planning and arts projects. She has led leadership roles in public arts management and arts education programs and is a published poet and writer. Make some noise for that, please. Kamal Martin is the founder of Art Power Equity and an advocate for underrepresented artists. His professional career spans roles in advocacy, education, government, and promoting equity and access and creative economy. Without further ado, our panel.
I've got a couple. There's a mic at the podium, there's a mic in the hand. That's too many mics for a girl. Okay. Hello, friends. Hello. Listen, what a day we're having, and what a year we are having, and I am looking forward to the next year we have. So I'm Leah Goodwin, and I had the great opportunity of working with RISE San Diego. I've been working with them for 10 years. A little shout out to my executive director, Dominic, and Anna Marie, my partners in crime from RISE. We were the social justice hub for a group of 17 amazing artists, and RISE has been doing amazing work in community for 10 years, and in the last 3 years, we've moved into the support for BIPOC artists and art organization space, and it's somewhere we're going to stay. So Kamal, and Kamal's one of my friends and partners. Which mic would you like?
I'll take this one. You stay right there. Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for all being here. My name's Kamal Martin, and I had the unique pleasure of observing and participating in this project from a bunch of different layers and perspectives at kind of a range of time points throughout the life cycle of the project. And I just want to say a couple of quick things before we introduce these folks up here. One is that this was a pilot project, meaning this really hadn't been done before, and I think we should keep that in the forefront of our minds, and also keep in mind that the results and the outcomes from this experience are still yet to be determined, right? Like, there's a multitude of data we've collected. We've asked tons of questions of the individual artists, the arts organizations, folks in the community, but the process is still revealing itself. And I think some of the most beautiful elements that we're going to see from this work coming together in this beautiful experiment are yet to be determined and are still kind of growing and emerging. So thank you all for your courage as artists to step into this space, for the funders who took the chance on doing something different, and also I think a really powerful example of the way San Diego can work together with Imperial County in a more equitable way. So let's start introducing these folks.
All right, let's do it. I'm starting? Oh, we're
Use
going
that
to do that.
Use that one.
This is fun.
I'm your moral support.
Always.
Always.
I'll take it. All right, see that? I've got my moral support. I think we're really underestimating, and I hope you feel it throughout the day, this building community thing. You know, this building community thing that has happened by assembling this group of over 60 artists and organizations. And I'm going to introduce Maria Patrice Amon. She's a director, producer, scholar, and leader. Maria Patrice Amon was a 2020 National Directing Fellow and Associate Artistic Director at San Diego Rep. She is currently a Latinx Theater Commons Steering Committee member and a National New Play Network Board member. Patrice is an assistant professor at Cal State University San Marcos, and we'll hear from her in a minute.
Yeah, give her a hand. Next is Betty Banks. Betty's a queer Chicana artist working with the medium of painting and acrylic and murals, but also sewing and DJing. Banks paints shapes representing women of all shapes and sizes. She's painted murals in San Diego and Mexico City and assisted in painting 4 murals in Chicano Park. Of utmost importance to her is representing her cultura and lifestyle through her work.
And Sandra Carmona is not feeling well enough to be present with us today, but knowing Sandra, if you do, you know she's here in her spirit. She's a Chicana, daughter of farm workers, and muralist for over 20 years. She's a well-known leader in her community and a longtime activist for farm workers and indigenous rights. Sandra's art intends to amplify the voices of her people and showcase their culture, contributions, struggles, and vibrancy. To her, art is medicine. Oh, I'll do Kendrick. I'll do the team of Sandra, Kendrick, and Chicle because they're all part of my hub.
Shout
and
out,
they all
Roz.
work together. Kendrick Darrell, also known as Mr. Lyrical Groove, is a Renaissance man with a mission to blend mental health and social justice art. He has worked with the Poetry Collective Purpose for over 10 years, hosting one of Southern California's highest attended open mic events, Elevated. He's collaborated with several artists, based organizations to perform and produce shows that inspire, challenge, educate, and entertain, including BK Soul, Playwrights Project, and the Ira Aldridge Theater, one of the Black-owned theater companies, if you don't know. He's also teaching artists of the Old Globe and recently completed a veteran playwright workshop with the La Jolla Playhouse, where he's working on his 2-person production. Enrique Lugo, also known as Chicle, I've never said your whole first name. Chicle is a visual artist and a proud son of Mexican immigrants dedicated to human-centered education and community activism. Via a multidisciplinary approach, his work has focused on identity, cultivating safe spaces, raising awareness, fostering change, and nurturing a sense of community, all caps unity, and belonging.
Next up is Neil Kendricks. Neil is an interdisciplinary artist, writer, filmmaker, and educator. Kendricks earned a master's in television, film, and new media from San Diego State University and launched his mixed media Strange Fruit drawing series as a participant in Art Produce Gallery's 2020 Artist in Residence program. His new experimental short film, Book of Skin, will complete post-production in 2023. Give him a hand. Close. And finally, Susana Martinez from the Imperial Valley Historical Society. Their work disseminates the history of Imperial County close to areas where they were impactful. The organization's mission is to maintain current collections and continue to collect relevant future artifacts held in extensive archives in the Pioneers Museum for the public benefit and to facilitate educational and cultural development. Susanna.
And our first artist is? Maria. Do you want to use this one?
All yours.
So many microphones, so little time.
Hi everybody, I am Dr. Maria Patrice Amon, and today I'm going to tell you about Pásale Pásale. It's an immersive new musical about social justice and the swap meet. Oh, there we go. So it's inspired by my lived experience going to the swap meet every single Saturday of my youth and growing up. I went with my grandmother. We took people's cast-off items and made them into our treasures. So we created a story really inspired by those experiences of the South Bay, some of our under-resourced communities. We were really dedicated to focusing on the South Bay, the communities of Chula Vista, National City, and San Isidro. In our play, Señor Muchas Cosas is raising the rents for the vendors at the swap meet. And this increase of rent really forces the vendors who are living on very thin margins to figure out ways to make things work. They decide to have a protest. They come together in one solid voice to protest these rate increases, but the protest actually doesn't work. Señor Muchas Cosas isn't moved. He doesn't change his mind. So the community regroups, they have to figure out what to do next, and they decide that through collective action, they no longer need to depend on Muchas Cosas. They can create their own space. So they turn to the audience. At the beginning, every audience member is given $5 to spend at the swap meet. And so the audience who has purchased blankets, they've purchased plants, they may have also purchased halo halo, some delicious food to eat. They come together and they contribute their money back to the community. And together we're going to build a new swap meet space. This is all told through a series of workshop events. So we had 2 workshops at the La Jolla Playhouse, CSUSM, and then our productions. This is an image from our first workshop with students from CSU San Marcos who reached North County as well as South County. We brought together, again, intergenerational, some really emerging artists and more established professional workers, professional artists working together in collaboration. It really enhanced and created new learning for the students. We then moved to the La Jolla Playhouse, a very challenging space because we were outside. We now had some sound issues and also an expanding size of our footprint. So we had audiences of about 100 people, where before we were at 20. So we had to figure out how to scale up in a very quick amount of time. We then moved to Bayfront High School. Kamal was essential in helping us find a new place after our previous location fell through. And so in this new location, we again connected with a new community partner, Bayfront Charter High School. This was a great production. This was our flagship. We were here for about a month, and we performed for about 600 audience members. Then we finally finished the tour of this show at the National City Chamber of Commerce. This was an untraditional space. It is literally a chamber of commerce. They're not set up for performances. And so we were outside, and we discovered that being outside at night with the sounds of the city around us was magical. This final stop was incredible. So we implemented our campaign through a series of partnerships. It really cemented Tuyo Theater, the company that produced it. It cemented our approach to really centering community relationships to help build this production. And I'm trying to catch up with my timing to make sure that I hit the slides. Some of the methods and achievements, our method was really immersive theater. We wanted our audience to become a part of the story. You come in, I give you $5. You're going to have to spend it somewhere. You come in, you're going to hear music. You're going to learn the songs. You're going to sing along with us. And in that way, you become the artist with us. The audience together becomes the collaborators. So our key achievements was engaging over 1,000 audience members, engaging some new audience members. These are all first-time theater goers featured here in the picture, as well as a robot, one of our actors. It really was this connecting with a new generation of theater audience members that we hope is going to make this project and future projects continue to move forward. The challenges we faced were moving to 4 different venues. That was quite difficult. We experienced the loss of a venue and then had to develop really quickly new community partnerships. We experienced some power outages. A telephone pole was run into, and we had to figure out generators and on-the-spot problem solving. But it meant that we had the opportunity to really amplify voices. All of our participating artists were from the South Bay. We had artists from National City, Chula Vista, and San Isidro participating in this show. We were able to spark discourse around community engagement, the efficacy of protest, the efficacy of communities standing together. We were able to conduct surveys for our audience to really figure out the impact of our work on our audience. This is an example of my favorite data point, which was, did Pásale Pásale impact your impression of civic engagement? And you can see how overwhelming the folks who felt like this had a positive impact on their view of civic engagement was. We connected with communities across San Diego. And one of my favorite quotes is the third one here. As a vendor myself, it really touched my heartstrings to confirm that I need to use my voice. That was what we were trying to get across to our audience, the power of our communities standing together and the power of our voices together. And we saw this from across San Diego County. We went, this is an image, a map of where our audiences were from. So you can see all the way from San Isidro, all the way up north. We had to like zoom in the picture so it not to get too blown out. But in addition, we had audiences from North County, including North County, LA, Texas, and Chicago. Overall, we had an impact on over 50 artists, 35 professional, 15 students. We created 12 new songs and a full-length musical in 9 months, a very short period to do a full brand new musical. We connected with over 1,000 audience members from across San Diego County, and we had a transformative process. Each of the artists who participated in the post-project sharing sessions really were expressive in the impact that this piece is going to travel with them to future projects. We increased awareness of our community members, as you see featured in the previous image of a community artist, our community member who created set pieces with us. And that is Pásale Pásale. Thank y'all.
Next up, we'll have Betty Bangs.
Hi, I get really nervous. So first I want to thank Far South Border North and everybody for the money and letting it, really a kid from the hood that has no place like in a place like this. I'm super grateful, so I want to start with that. Muchas gracias. Also I want to, I want to say who I am. So I'm Betty Banks. My real name is Heidi Juarez. I'm a queer Chicana artist from San Diego. I'm also a DJ. My day job is an advocate for victims of crime. And as of 2:55 a.m., I'm a grandma. So Colors of Inclusion, it basically reached out to the queer communities that are underrepresented. I was really lucky to work with the LGBTQ Center in Imperial Valley, and we had workshops out there to be able to highlight queer artists. Like I heard one of the other artists say, there's art out there, but it's not represented well, and it's even less represented for queer artists that are trying to find their way. So I was really lucky to be able to work with the LGBTQ Center in El Centro and create workshops where we taught different things like just different, sorry, I get nervous. Just different art forms. You know, we made patches, we did some printing, we made zines as a community. The zines, I think, were the most simplest art form that we could have taught any of the participants, because it's a way to express your own story. It's little. They had no idea what it was, but I feel it's very powerful. And after that, we moved on to making art and being able to teach them easy ways to afford to be able to be an artist, but not in this case. Again, thanks for the money, because it was a really great way to support a community that was not represented. There's no funding. So also moving on, locations. I was really lucky to work in Imperial Valley, Barrio Logan, and also down south with Casa at their different youth centers. I remember in the beginning going to one of the meetings and somebody said, how can you make this really big? Like how far can you stretch it? And in my mind, I thought, okay, let's go everywhere. So I really wanted to stay in Barrio, but it took me all the way to Imperial Valley, and I met some amazing people and artists that I got to work with. We also did it at youth centers in San Isidro. The whole thing was to be able to again, highlight queer artists, Chicano, BIPOC, LGBTQ+. So this is where I get really nervous, and hopefully that video kicks in. So, yeah. I really don't know what to say right now, sorry. Usually the music does the job for me, so don't judge me. It's like my blindness, like blanket blindness, you know? Okay. Is it gonna play by itself? Yeah?
I'm a queer Chicana artist from San Diego, and I have this really amazing project. It's a queer fashion art show coming up in Imperial Valley with the Imperial Valley LGBTQ Center, and I'm inviting.
Well, I was inviting everyone to come to the art. So,
There we go.
So save the date, May 17th. I'm inviting you personally. Come on out. Thank you.
so when I worked with Imperial Valley and we did all the workshops and I met all the amazing people that didn't call themselves artists, which is one of my favorite things about it. I met really amazing artists that didn't identify as artists, but at the end of this, we came up with a fashion art show. It's a great way to express who you are. We get to include music and fashion, and it was in Imperial Valley. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but so we made this big fashion art show for these people to be able to showcase their art, and it was really great because I got to work with Lambda Archives from San Diego, and we got to document all these queer artists that haven't been represented, and also I ran into some challenges with Berenice's mural that I do want to just touch on real quick. Thank you for inviting me to your mural. I got to paint with her, and I really was surprised at, I thought, San Diego's so inclusive. San Diego is okay with me because I'm a queer Chicana. San Diego's okay, and we have these spaces for us. And in reality, it was really hard to find out that it wasn't. So working with Berenice on that mural, being able to paint an image on there, it just sparked conversations in my own neighborhood where why are we not represented? When they erased those two women kissing, they erased me. They erased other queer Chicanas that have touched those walls and wrote history on concrete walls. There's nothing more beautiful in San Diego than that park. And it inspired me to collectively find some artists, and we created this mural that's gonna come up next. I collaborated with, again, with Lambda Archives, and we created this mural, and it's for Libelula, the outside of the bookstore, to not be, they can't take this mural away from us. The bookstore is going to hang it up during business hours, put it back inside at night. This is just the sketch of it. If you come to my table, you're gonna see this badass mural that was made by queer Chicano artists, BIPOC artists, and it represents everybody, and it's beautiful. And you know what? You're not going to vandalize it. It's going to be there, and it's going to be present for everybody to see. So I'm really excited about that. And that actually came about what happened with you. So, it was horrible, but also a blessing. So this image is also part of the collaboration what I did with Casa. We did a mural in one of their youth centers because also there was no queer spaces, and the youth center wanted really to open up the space and make something more welcoming to the queer youth. Both their youth centers are attached to low-income housing, so it was really fun to collaborate with other artists and come up with a mural. And this isn't the finished project. If you ever have the time, it's in San Isidro. I have the address, the mural was inspired by one of the people from Casa. Her name is Monica. Monica Hernandez. She wrote a poem about San Isidro, and the mural was dedicated to that. This is more images of the art show. Again, I'm sorry. I'm not the best speaker, like I said. Hold on. I need to say this because, my mom in the 70s, she used to have a business, an interior design business, and her biggest competitor, she was their biggest competitor, was JCPenney's. And they took her to court, and they lost because she had proof of how she started that. And it almost puts me in a place where I'm just a little small, like, grain of salt, but the people that you impact when you open up art and you get to go out there and use it. And again, fuck, I'm so sorry. Spending your money was fucking amazing to be able to put art in every area. It was fun. I don't care. I'll drive to Imperial Valley again. I'll go down south, you know. Let's go to Mexico City, make another mural. Anybody? Funding? So yeah, thank you. That's all I have right now.
Go ahead, Betty Banks.
Yeah, go ahead, Betty.
Play some music.
And
Heck yeah, Betty. Woo! Oh, still going.
This pattern on one side, this is the inside of it. And on the other side of the inside, I sewed the skeleton side.
So Angel's here. They're from Imperial Valley. And again,
I'm going to sew another piece of a jacket. And essentially what I'm doing here is kind of like,
That's dope.
I'm trying to do like a death theme, like a dead inside theme. I got my last name on it.
again, the fashion show, I gave each artist, a bunch of artists, jackets that they can do whatever they want. Keep it punk, you know, keep it real. Like right here. That's actually one of Chicle's images that I had to reuse on my jacket. But Angel created this art, and I'm really proud to say that he wasn't an artist when I met him. He was like, I'm not an artist, but I have a bunch of sketches. No, I can honestly say, where are you? Are you an artist? There you go. That's it. And that's the finale of the fashion show.
You did it, Betty. You know, we are never worried about you being present for all of us. I'd like to bring up the team of Kendrick Dial and Chicle and Sandra in Espiritu.
Let's shake it. Yeah, go on, give it up, y'all. Go on, give it up. Repeat after me. With these hands.
With these hands.
I can.
I can.
Now look at your neighbor. Say, with these hands.
With these hands.
I can.
I can.
Now look awkwardly, passionately into your neighbor's eyes and raise your hands and say, with these hands.
With these hands. I
I can.
can. Yeah.
So my name is Kendrick Dow. Chicle here. Sandra's not able to be here, but also Berenice is a part of our ensemble. And we came together as professionals. I'm a social worker. Chicle is a teacher. Berenice is a psychologist and therapist. And we wanted to build something, a toolkit that people, communities, artists could take beyond this experience that we did. So we came with a whole framework in terms of what we wanted folks to understand how to go about doing this work. So I do a lot of trainings and research and love reading and things of that nature. So we have some methods and theories in which they go into this work. We all had our intended audiences. I was working with black males. Chicle is working with black and brown males. Sandra was working with farm workers. And so that took us across, San Diego in different fashions. And so we wanted to lean into this module in terms of like developing a story of me in terms of who we are as individuals, we collectively, and then a story of us in terms of coming together. And each one of those has different tenets in terms of what it means to navigate those spaces collectively, individually, to see how we're all connected. Another piece was this reflective competence model, because we don't want you to feel like you got to do it perfect. We want you to make an impact. And so this is just an understanding of how we go about doing it. First, you don't know what you don't know. Then you know what you do know. Then you know what you don't know. And then you do know what you don't know. And then you know what you know. And so, and then you can do it in a way where it's so unconscious to you, you just navigate it. So these are our campaigns. This is mine, When Black Men Speak. I'll let Chicle chime in.
And then Sandra's was the backbone of agriculture, and mine we called the link up. And I think one thing that brought us all together, and it was said earlier this morning, is we or the grantees, all of us, were doing something within our communities or something that we were already passionate about, and then turned it into a 1.5 year long project. And for us, I think the commitment was always to create something that was sustainable and not like a one-time experience, but something that we could keep up. So there's some photos of us engaging in our communities. And I think the biggest thing is just having the opportunity to do this work, right? Like the blessing that Betty spoke to, the funding to be able to invest and do the things that we want to in spaces that aren't always, it's not always accessible, you know? And one thing that I'm super proud, I don't know, Betty kept saying that she wasn't, you know, she was nervous and all that, but I think we come from the same neighborhood, you know, so to see us both, and I think one time we ran into each other at the art store and we were both like, dang, like I have money, like I could buy all the canvases I want, you know, so I'm super proud to be up here with her. Super proud of the organizations and spaces that supported us, Rise San Diego, our hub, and all the partner organizations that hosted our events, hosted our meetings, monthly meetings, weekly meetings. And like some of the biggest highlights, right? Like being consistent, showing up, having a rhythm and a ritual with most of us have just naturally, right? Like things that we do, and incorporating it into the communities. And one of the things that like Sandra really highlighted it was working with these women from the farm worker communities of North County. And one of the aspects, like I think all of our projects evolved from what we originally thought we were gonna do, and hers incorporated portraits of the women. And she like couldn't talk enough about how proud the women were to show up and take a picture, you know, that then was showcased in a gallery setting. And so for our participants to just be honored in that way.
And for my particular project was working with men, so we did men's groups. It was two-tone. I also did interviews, and I asked them questions around, you know, how they lean into mental health, you know, a lesson they wish they had in their journey of manhood and what his fatherhood taught them. Did some interviews and online posted those so people could hear these particular expressions, because a lot of men said they wish they'd had these nuggets of life growing through their own experiences. As well as, I know Chikle, he also did men's groups and did art in those men's groups as well. And then I also collaborated with a good friend of mine, Gil Sotu, and he wrote a play based off some of the conversations from the men's groups that I was having as well.
And I think the coolest thing of these experiences, and here you see, like we had an art show that was inspired by the men who participated in all the groups. They each created art pieces. So at our table later, you'll see some examples of that. But really, again, honoring the fact that most of us deal with mental health or well-being challenges, and we don't have access to the support for that. So being able to create that space in a warehouse in industrial part of Chula Vista was pretty amazing, you know, and I don't know that it would have been possible without this opportunity. Some of the quotes that we collected from our participants, and there again, you see the pictures of people showing up. I remember one of the early hub meetings I shared, like I wanted to do something with mental health, and someone in the room said, no way, no one will show up, but people did, you know, and they all kept repeating, like, thank you for having this space. This is what we need, right? And it's for us, by us, and things that, again, like as a kid, things that we could only dream of.
So with this, we see the impact in terms of all the people that we were able to meet digitally as well as in person, and through our performances, through our meeting groups and online and all that good stuff. And just overall, I think for me, one of the big takeaways was the impact of like community, like being able to, me and Berenice used to work together at a nonprofit like years ago. So to be able to collaborate on this and then meet Chikle and Sandra along this process and understand we're all showing up with our collaborative identities in terms of that's where the diversity and the belonging comes together and how we make that shift. And so these are different ways to kind of follow us and stay tuned. And
yeah, and I think also I just want to say thank you to Dr. Berenice Vadillo and Kendrick, because I feel like through the process, Berenice blessed me with the honorary PhD, and then I think working with Kendrick, like I feel like it's things that I can also bring to my daily routine of being an educator and sharing with the youth. So thank you all for listening.
next up, Mr. Neil Kendricks.
I don't know about you, but I've had this date marked on my calendar for a very long time. I thought I was going to write something, but I thought, you know what? This has been a transformative year. And as an artist, oftentimes your work, you feel alone. This is so thrilling for me right now. Being up on the stage, being there, listening to your stories. This is community right now. And you need to give yourselves a round of applause. I'm delighted to be able to have this opportunity to talk about my project. This grant gave me a chance to do something I've always wanted to do, which was to make a comic, but to make a comic about our particular moment and in these very divisive times. I wanted to make a comic book that actually talks, but not with superheroes, not with people in capes, but your friends and neighbors, because they're the heroes of democracy. We are the cavalry, all right? Get out and vote, get people to vote, everyone. This is so important. When I had this opportunity, it was about trying to find people who could tell that story through their individual experiences. So I learned how to do podcasting. I took a crash course with a friend of mine, this guy Adam, and I'm not working from a script. I just want to tell you what this experience was like for me. Originally, this was the source of inspiration. I had a show at the Oceanside Museum of Art a few years ago. I did this piece called MLK Takes a Knee, Patriot. I believe that this young nation, our young nation, these are some of the rough sketches when I laid out the book. But kind of thinking back to that image of Martin Luther King, in my mind, he's one of the founders as well, right? Like this experiment called democracy, right? This is ongoing and it's up to us. So I wanted to do a story, a book that put people up front. And so the goal was to smuggle these books into comic book stores on Free Comic Book Day. Well, I had permission, but the folks did it. The folks that went to Free Comic Book Day, which is every year on May 4th, all the comic book companies put out all their different products, and I wanted to have a book about real people, people that live here in San Diego, people like you and me, and to just share their stories about the importance of voting. Do we have a responsibility to our neighbors, to our families, to the future, right? I think we do, and that's heroic. We're heroes. We're the cavalry, right? So when the time to vote, I hope that you're going to be there with me. And I didn't want this to be a partisan project, so I deliberately told the participants, do not tell me what political party you belong to. Don't tell me who you want to vote. I want you to talk about something larger, about what is this, what's running underneath democracy, the idea that maybe we're all in this together, and how do we communicate that? And so these folks that I spoke to, they shared their stories, they opened their hearts to me. It was a gift, and I got to share it with you, and I brought a bunch of copies. I was racing to the printer to make some more additional copies today. So I have about 100 copies that I'll have at the expo. This is my niece, Ashley, and she's going to be voting for the first time this November. And so she was the first person I started with. I love this kid. And, now she's a young lady about to start college, and she's part of the future. This is Rita. She's 92 years old. And so the scope of the people I spoke to from ages 17 to 92, and they're all part of this experiment. And so if you scan the QR codes, you can hear Rita talk to you and tell you her story. I didn't want to write it down. I wanted them to tell their story to you through the book. These are some of the other participants. I'm sorry I'm going off script here, but I feel more at ease if I just tell you what this was like for me and why I did this. This is going to be an ongoing project. I want to go and re-interview some of these folks. And I also want to interview new people because I think we're living in exciting and terrifying times. All right, we're on the cusp of what could be a remarkable new chapter. And it's up to us. This is Shirley. This is Ala. They're both immigrants, and they're both proud Americans, just like you and me. And they have a place here. They deserve a place here. They belong here. And I wanted their voices to be part of this chorus. I think democracy, our Constitution, is a song. That's why I titled the book, We the People Sing Our Song, not one person's song, our song. It belongs to all of us. It belongs to all of us. These are some analytics from the website, kind of recording what the different people that listened to the stories since we debuted it in early May. And you know, I mailed some copies to people out of state, but I guess now the phones are set up in a way where it kind of diverts you, so you can't really tell where each phone call is coming from. But what matters is these voices. These are some of the people that read the book, or rather listened to the book. My good friend Bernie came out here for support. He was one of these voices. And one of the things, just to quickly quote from him, is that, well, it went by, hopefully you got to read it. Right? These are some photos from Free Comic Book Day, and I just want to thank the folks, the people behind Far South, Border North. You were game changers. You enabled us to go out and make something, and you gave us, you became the wind under our wings, and you helped us know that we belong. This isn't, you know, I always would say, and I know I'm not the only one alone when you're an artist, is you have multiple jobs. I have 4 jobs right now, but now I know my real job is to be an artist. So thank you so much. And, you know, again, thank you for being part of this community. And I'm so proud and honored to be here with you. Let's make it count. Thank you.
And our final artist on the panel, Susana Martinez.
Alrighty, hello. Hello, I'm Susana Martinez. I'm an assistant artist from Pioneers Museum in Imperial Valley, via Imperial 760. Yeah, there you go. I'm speaking on behalf of the rest of our team from the Pioneering Justice Campaign, where we taught local history through the arts. So the Pioneering Justice Campaign has made significant strides in its mission to promote justice and community pride by highlighting the contributions of influential figures within Imperial County. The campaign aims to honor the legacies of 8 local social justice figures, and our multifaceted approach has ignited and renewed connection among Valley residents, giving our community the space to celebrate our diverse history. And then we can move on to the next slide. The campaign's objective is to teach Imperial County's history of social justice through visual and performing arts. This is achieved by educating the community on local history, building community pride, and introducing social justice principles. Our 8 local figures, pictured right here, are the driving force for this project, for they as a collective reflect the diverse fabric of our valley and how social justice values have always existed in our history. So lead artist Marcia Landeros was responsible for the community outreach leg of the campaign. And here, Marcia Landeros, she is pictured with our museum director, Caitlin Chavez, and members of the Imperial Irrigation District Board of Supervisors. And this kind of outreach with community stakeholders and government agencies drew public awareness to the campaign and enabled us to receive outside support. Our goal is to develop educational curriculum for kids and adults that can continue to be disseminated throughout Imperial County as an entry-level vehicle for social justice discussions. We've done outreach at 14 community events in and out of Pioneers Museum, led school tours, and have had guided conversations teaching the curriculum through the arts. We've engaged with over 30,000 individuals and accumulated 500 community volunteer hours. And by incorporating the stories of local historic figures who have addressed social injustices or triumphed over them into our artwork, we were able to facilitate discussions on the pressing social issues facing Imperial County today. For example, Dubois McGee, one of our figures, was the first Black mayor of El Centro, elected during the Civil Rights Union era, yet most Valley residents outside of the Black community did not know about this information. In addition to our educational programs, our team has also partnered with various institutions and organizations and lent our support in other local art projects. Making these community connections allowed for broader outreach and also drew support for our endeavors, whether that was attendees at events, volunteer support, or funding to continue our artistic pursuits. So our campaign is broken up into 3 phases. Our initial phase is where we began testing project ideas with the community. Second phase sees the campaign taking off in full force. So here we pushed community outreach and began implementing a series of art projects based on our findings. So we're now in the last phase with the finalization of many of our art projects, including community quilts, an art exhibition, and a coloring book. Our role as artists is to honor the legacies of our local historic figures through artwork that captures their impact. We went beyond the artwork and incorporated untraditional methods, building educational programs and tie-in events. Each art project is not only a creative expression of the legacies of local social justice figures, but also a unique opportunity for our artists to hone their skills. Our historian, Alyssa Montez, kicked off the campaign by researching 8 significant figures, including Quetzal Chief Salvador Carlos Antonio Palma, Dubois McGee, Thomas Rubio, Masani Nagata, Manuela Dominguez, Fred G., Gloria Brambilla, and Charles Harris Garrigues. Marcy Landeros developed a public art campaign centered on storytelling performances using period costumes. Artists Annika Penner-Smith and Alejandra Matus took Alyssa's research and used it as the basis for an educational coloring book. This book features our diverse unsung heroes and their achievements and contributions to the Valley. And this book is the lasting legacy of this campaign, with Pioneers Museum retaining the rights for reprint and distribution. Working both with our team and community, artist Elizabeth Ibarra headed up the development of a series of 25 barn quilts. Our team worked with Elizabeth to capture the likenesses of our heroes, and community members painted their own designs in the style of traditional barn quilts to function as accent pieces. This project came from this idea to get the community involved and serves as the first project to foster in community involvement. Assistant artist Esteban Ojeda curated a contemporary art exhibition to engage local artists and promote teaching history through the arts. The show, featuring works from artists in the Imperial Valley and Mexicali, reimagined the local historic photo collection of Leo Hetzel. Our opening event was in July, and we'll be hosting a free closing event this Saturday. Nisim Uzan designed a community quilt inspired by the cartography of Imperial County. This project was sewn by myself and volunteers from the Desert Quilters of Imperial Valley, along with community volunteers. People from various backgrounds lent a hand. So we had kids from 4-H, the guild quilters, and church groups, and it exemplifies the intersection of traditional quilting with mixed media art. And lastly, we have an original role-playing game curated and written by Marcy Landeros. This RPG was inspired by early 20th century events that led to the formation of Imperial County, and the game provides players with an interactive experience that challenges misconceptions about Imperial Valley history and its inhabitants. Over the project period, our team has served multiple cities within Imperial County. Our public outreach extended beyond the museum, so we participated in 14 community events across the county, many of them in Imperial and our unincorporated areas. Imperial County already has a reputation of hosting yearly events, so we capitalized on those opportunities to spread our message. Our campaign faced significant challenge as a 95-year-old institution with a core audience that is largely older and conservative. But by incorporating educational components in the campaign, we've ensured that our message would be a permanent fixture within Pioneers Museum. And the museum is committed to further collaboration with artists. For this collaboration is what allowed us to bridge the gap between traditional perspectives and the evolving dynamics of the community. And the Pioneering Justice campaign at the museum engaged with over 30,000 individuals by capitalizing on the unique strengths of each artist. We've developed new educational programs that are embedded with themes of social justice. And this campaign has effectively opened the door for a broader range of artistic activities at Pioneers and paved the way for diverse artistic expression. Getting involved with the community has been integral to our campaign. Showing up at established events makes sense logistically, but it also allowed us to foster camaraderie and strengthen community ties across different organizations. And by using a soft approach, we were able to reach a broad audience and spread our message further than we could have hoped for. That pretty much concludes the presentation, and there's so many organizations that we want to thank, particularly Catalyst of San Diego and Imperial County, the Imperial Valley Food Bank for their support during the application process, and of course FSBN for the money. Thank you. We will actually be at the expo this afternoon, myself, my colleague Annika Penner-Smith, and our director Caitlin Chavez. If you have any questions, you can come see the quilts. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Susanna. And thank you to all of you for all of the work that you put into this process. We have a couple of questions for the panel before we open it up to the floor. So the first one we'd like to pose, and this is for everyone, whoever'd like to take the first pass at it. And Betty touched on it a little bit with, I like spending y'all's money, which is really fantastic. If y'all could just share the way that this unrestricted funding kind of made a difference for you, not just personally as a person living in San Diego or Imperial County, we all need money to do things, but also what it meant for your creative practice respectively.
So yeah, as previously mentioned, I'm from Imperial Valley Pioneers Museum. It's one of 2 museums out there. We are a nonprofit. The only reason we were able to have artists on staff is because of FSBN. Otherwise, pretty much all of our operations are based off of volunteer work, a lot of volunteer work. And most of our volunteers are also older. So sometimes, they have health complications, sometimes they pass, sometimes they just don't have the energy anymore. And oftentimes things stagnate, like we just don't have the manpower. Our director, she wears many hats, our archivist wears many hats. And it takes a miracle, really. So with the FSBN money, it was incredible. We were able to expand our educational programs. We were able to update the museum because, it's pretty old. It's pretty old, but we love it. We love it so much. And we want to keep making it more modern and updated to reflect our evolving community. Because, there are some things that haven't been updated in years. Years, and it's because we just don't have the manpower. So with this money, it was really game changing.
I'll echo that idea of game changing. So I did my project in collaboration with Tuyo Theater. I'm one of the artistic leaders for the theater, and we are teeny tiny. We're a very, very small organization. And in the past, we really prioritized the artists that we work with, as opposed to us as leaders. We were it's all volunteer on the leader space. But this was a way to actually support the work that I was doing with Tuyo and to be able to make it sustainable. And then it became a seed grant that we then grew with a grant from the city of San Diego to then continue to grow to apply for more grants in the future. It made Tuyo from volunteer run, just by the skin of our teeth, into something that feels sustainable, something that feels like we can make this a go. We can continue to exist as a theater company dedicated to Latinx artwork in the South Bay that doesn't exist and hasn't existed to that level of abundance. Yeah, game changing.
Who here loves Dollar Tree for art supplies? Well, I stopped shopping there months ago. Because the funding that they gave us allowed us to buy the better brushes, the better paints. And not only for us, but to everyone that used those brushes, those paints, those paint markers that I didn't even know existed. It's just really amazing that, the funding really helped. And I have to tell you, I'm not selfish, if I can have it, you're gonna have it too. So to be able to go and do workshops in Imperial Valley and tell the artists, don't worry, I got you. What do you need? What do you want to learn? And show up with the best. Thank you. That was a challenge for me before, but like I said, I love Dollar Tree, but I ain't been there in a while.
To be able to pay my collaborators, who I've worked with I work with a composer named Mike Mayer, who's like a brother to me, and we've worked together for almost 20 years. And to be able to cut him a check, and even though he would have done it for free, but to say, no, you're worth more than this, and to be able to have an organization back me up with being able to provide the funds, because I don't know about you, but my resume usually says Renaissance Pauper, so this was nice to not have to feel that way. To be able to get the equipment to do something that maybe hasn't been done before, like the idea, going and pitching the idea of a talking comic book. Most people might say, get out of here. But it was nice to be able to go to an arts organization like Far South Border North and see them light up, their eyes light up, to talk to people like the folks at Alliance of San Diego and to have them lend moral support. So this is a big deal, and it really is a game changer. You know, it's something beyond just the money. It's the phone calls. I don't know how many times I've reached out to Michelle. She calls me back, and those conversations, those are worth more than gold, because they were in those moments when you weren't sure if your project was moving forward, and just hear that reassuring voice on the other side of the phone that's like, I believe in you. You know, she didn't have to say that. It was through just problem solving. I'm sure all of the projects that, you know, went through this year-long process had more than their share of obstacles, things that didn't quite go right. And part of this process is like finding the solution, but finding the solution together. And, you know, it was a sign that we weren't alone. So thank you.
Just to add to that piece, I think normally being able you have your collaborator, your friends you always work with, so being able to say, I got you, like, and let them know like your time is valued, because even in the community, you know, folks will be like, hey, can you come perform? And it's like, oh, yeah, well, is there a budget? Well, we had to pay for everything except what you feel might be important for everybody to experience. So it also plays on your worth as an artist in terms of even know that you can ask for certain things. So this, for me, was also like a space of being like, oh, no, you can go, you can ask what you desire, right? And what that gets to look like, we get a little bit more confidence and control in terms of what that experience gets to be. So for me, that's a real big piece of that.
Yeah, I was going to pass because everyone already said it, but I think that part that Kendrick just said about our worth as artists is so true, right? Because throughout the year and a half, I think in the past I would have been pulling favors and trading for work, but being able to give someone cash money for what they did was really, really special, in a position I had never really been in. So I think that piece, right? And I think even though the project that we did, when I look across the city, like our communities typically don't have those types of opportunities, because the folks that are able to hold that space and create those opportunities don't look like us, right? Like most of us don't have that financial security or stability or privilege to be able to take time off. So for me also, just as a husband and as a father, like knowing that I had funding gave me permission to be away from home a couple nights a month. So you know, it's a blessing in many ways. Thank you.
Perfect. So we have one more question for the group, and then if there's time, maybe a question from the audience. So ultimately, what did you guys learn from this experience that you did not expect to learn?
Honestly, I learned how to operate as an artistic business that can go after contracts and grants and have the data, information to be able to, or at least what that process needs to look like. Because typically before, it's like, I don't know what all this measure, what's this? Like, we don't talk like that necessarily because we're in a different sphere of work and whatnot. So having to answer some of the questions and pay attention to all these different dynamics gave another lens of like what it means to be an artistic and cultural practitioner and professional. So.
Anyone else? What did you learn that you did not expect to learn?
The value of, even though I kind of knew perseverance, but then when you're facing something that at times feels insurmountable. At one point, when I was trying to recruit people to participate in my project, I went to schools, I went to the registrar of voters, and I thought this would be ideal, and I just got crickets. And it's learning to persevere and not question your idea, knowing that the idea is solid, that it's strong, that it's worthy, and that as artists, I think part of our job, part of our calling, because really I think the thing about this is that It's not that we chose to be artists. Art chose us, because the thing is, this is it. You know, there wasn't another option, because the other option is that you lie to yourself and you're miserable, right? You're cheating yourself of something that's inside you, saying that you need to make something, you need to create. And so it's finding that inner, more strength than you think you had.
For me, I have to acknowledge, definitely, it's more spiritual. I've always questioned, like, where do these ideas come from? And like, I never dreamt this life, so it was eye-opening to me. And I don't know who's spiritual or not. I'm not religious, but like you said, where this comes from, it comes from our ancestors. It comes from another place. It comes in dreams. And when I learned that, because I always questioned it, where does all this art come from? If I don't get it out of here, it just lives in there, and it's overwhelming. And then I paint, and it's there, and somebody likes it, and they take it home, and I'm like, ooh wee. But honestly, just even, I don't think I mentioned this, but I got to weld, and I got to do an installation for Pride, you know, just getting to learn. And the welding came from my ancestors, the painting came from my ancestors. I received it, and I have it now. And now that I know where it comes from, I'm not done yet. And there's so much more to teach and learn. So.
For me, I learned a lot more about my community. I'm not a Valley native. I moved there in 2013. I mean, now almost like 11 years later, I'm starting to actually feel like I'm from the Valley. And learning about this history was incredible, because I mean, for the longest time, my view of the Valley is like we're a hard scrabble people. It's very much like, do your work and stop complaining. I did my work, so why do we need to acknowledge social justice? Social justice out there, sometimes it's like a dirty word, you know? Like, people get really heated. We had people from the get-go, a lot of pushback, and to learn about this diversity, the historic diversity, was incredible, because it's just like, no, it's always been there. Social justice has always been there, whether it has had a new name back, or a new name now, or a different name back then. And the other thing too, the diversity of our Valley, because it's largely like Mexican American or white American, but we have people from, or our historical figures, like we have people from the Philippines, people from China, people from like across the ocean, who have contributed greatly to our Valley that nobody knows about, because we just don't really talk about it. And the other thing too is I also got to really connect with the artistic community at large. Like, I'm not sure who said it, but earlier today someone said that as artists we tend to like get in our little space and stay there. And I was definitely one of those artists. I got in my little space and I stayed there. This job really just kind of like, I fell into it. I wasn't expecting any of this. So being able to make those community connections, like I recognize people in the audience from the Valley who I got to work with, like Taquito. I remember seeing Fernando's exhibit at the Midwinter Fair. There's a lot of people out here who like, they have an established presence, but because, you know, we're so small and the artist space is even smaller, it was beautiful to be able to work with people who are in different mediums, different backgrounds, and to see that like art does matter, social justice does matter. We can have social justice and art and hard work and, you know, this strong blue collar community all at the same time. None of those things exist in a vacuum. They all inform everything that we do.
I like to. I did want to ask specifically for my campaign, because I was working with black males, and there's this dynamic where men are expected to communicate like women, and if they don't, then they say men don't communicate. And in my experience, men talk. Like we talk about all types of stuff. But with that, it's about being allowed to be heard, you know, that safe space that we talk about, not judge in regards to whatever that experience is. And then also recognizing the different, if we say, nonverbal communication is 90% of communication, then that means some things are being communicated before they're being spoken. And so if that's the case, then, when we think about men and how they communicate, are we paying attention to how they're communicating, even with the nonverbals and things of that nature? I think men get it to a certain dynamic because when you come into a space, you look around, you kind of sizing up situations and whatnot, maybe from a protection factor or whatnot, in many cases. So it's kind of there partly, but I think that's something that I didn't see before.
No comment? We have one time for one question from the audience. One
Anybody
question
out
from-
there?
Will there be one?
Brave soul.
I just want to say thank you for the excellent work you're doing, how you're changing the world, how important your persistence and your activism and your being is, because you are really demonstrating that art heals the world.
Are we closing? I'm looking at the timekeeper. I have a comment, because I have a mic. So we started this whole adventure talking about API communities, and then, you must realize that in the middle of this project, there was a flood. And in our community, it was real time. This was not like, okay, the performance spaces died, the galleries died, the ability to meet and connect canceled us out. I'm on the phone with Berenice saying, where's the flood hitting you, right? I'm on the phone with the urban warriors where they have nowhere to be. And so it was really an eye-opening moment for our hub, especially because we ride at Market and Euclid. We had a meeting one day and the water started to flow. We canceled a meeting. It was really amazing to watch how everyone was still dedicated to getting the work done. Like, we'll find a new way. And that is the adaptive magic ability of this group of amazing people. And I think, a 3-day conference is what they really deserve. Okay, I'll be done.
Wow. I just don't have a lot of words. It's just beautiful to see everyone fill up the room with their hearts. And please give a round of applause for everybody that is on the stage right now. Thank you so much. You can go have a seat and everything like that. And really appreciate you. Give them a round of applause again. Thank you. So at this point, we were going to have Kelsey Daniels come up and do an amazing poem. She's an amazing artist. She got a stomach bug, so she's not going to be able to be here. So let's just wish her the best. But I'm going to share a little poem before we go on to our next thing and then to our expo. Is that okay if I share a poem with you? Creativity is innovation. I just need an opportunity because it's quicker than some litigation. We ain't patient, but we've been waiting. Waking up in Hades every day, we've been fighting Satan. Saging, trying to find that sensation. Chasing the feeling of creation. You ever had a dream or a thought and it transformed into an art and it kept you from falling apart? This is that. This is not just rap. This is bigger than any opportunity I had in the past, and I just want to pass that feeling into your cognition from the symphony to the ceiling, to the sentient beings in the building, to the young men, women, and children. Welcome to our Coliseum. We wasn't visible, and now you see them. Thank you. Thank you. At work, we're working on our purpose statements. And my purpose statement that I just completed is that creativity is evidence that I survived. we've all been through so much. There's been sickness, there's been death, there's been floods, there's been pandemics, and we are out there surviving and still making art, still being and showing and displaying love, and it is quite amazing. And to be a part of the Far South Border North Grant and to be granted the ability to do this and spend other people's money, oh yes, make some noise and spending other people's money. And really, it's using your energy and your power to use that money for things that other people couldn't do. So you're transforming things. And so we're gonna get into our next thing, which is the expo. We met so many incredible projects today, but now we're gonna go into the Mingay Museum and check out the expo, where you're gonna see more projects. You're gonna be able to get more details of what's going on. We're gonna get into our procession. That's gonna be really cool. We're gonna have lunch. Lunch is good. And then we're gonna go into the World Design Experience celebration, because we are kicking off Design Capital of the World right now, or sorry, the San Diego Design Week. And before we get into our last thing with Trixie, I just want to give our thank yous. We extend our gratitude for the Far South Border North community, partners, artists, cultural practitioners, and organizers, funders, the California Arts and Council, and Prebys Foundation, and everyone who has contributed to this event. And a special thanks to our speakers, performers, and expo participants for sharing their expertise, and the Davis Hart Foundation and the Mixed-Day Communications for their collaboration. We also appreciate the San Diego Tijuana World Design Capital for recognizing the Far South Border North as an initiative within community. Last but not least, the Public Impact Day for the World Design Experience that's powered by San Diego Design Week. It's a pilot program, but it really gave us the belief to build the plane while it's flying. You have to believe if you're building that plane while it's flying. Now, I would like to introduce to you Trixie, who is going to lead us to the Mingay Museum. Make some noise for Trixie.
Hi, my name is Trixie Anna Giao. I am one of the recipients of this beautiful, beautiful grant thing that has happened. I'm so excited to be here. So my project really focused on the women and femme-identifying people for the AAPI community. I focus on that because in our culture, emotions, mental health is like a new thing. It's a thing that isn't discussed or still heavily frowned upon. And especially after like the surge of Asian hate happened, and then the feeling of my community feeling shrunken and small and scared. It's something that I really wanted to focus on with healing, bringing people together, encouraging people to speak and be themselves, even if they're scared, was a big part of that. So amplifying AAPI women's voices was like a big thing for me this year, which has been wonderful, not just for my own healing and my own journey, but for all the people who experienced it, whether they're AAPI women or not. So what you're gonna see, I've called it the path before us. We're gonna go on a procession thing together. So there will be people dressed in red and black and white. Those are not random people. I mean, maybe it's Balboa, so you don't know. But we'll be your friends on this journey. So what the piece is going to be is I have these wonderful actors and dancers and movers who are going to go on this journey with you on the Mingay and share about their mental health, about stories of their family, stories about themselves, because really that's what my project focused on. How can we be ourselves and speak and share that to not only grow our own mental well-being, but also as a way to grow empathy, not just within our own community and ourselves, but then with like the greater community and then the greater world. That is really like what I focus on. I focus on the API community so that they can love themselves, so they can love other people. I really think that's how it goes. And I'm really excited for you to hear the stories of these 7 people and watch me dance around. If you get lost, I have poi veil, and I'm gonna be swinging it in the air. So if you get lost, which you won't, it's a 4-minute whack, you got this. But yeah, I'm really excited for you to see them, meet them. I hope that you feel seen listening to their stories. Please feel free, like, you know, if you wanna talk to us back, that's cool too. We'll also be around in the Menge. Yeah, it's very nice to meet you. I'm very excited for you to meet my friends, my community members. And if you let me pass first, that would be great. Thank you. There's no.